Hello. How's everybody doing? Um, I suppose I am a little bit late. I apologize. That seems to be a pattern that I am not proud of. I'm sorry about that. Um, alright. I was gonna schedule it for later to give myself a little bit more time, but I know that, most people have, in most people time zones, it's a lot later than it is for me, so I try to do it earlier, and then I'm always running behind, and yeah. But I have to get on top of that. Hopefully we have no sound issues or anything this time, because I'm pretty sure I figured out what the problem was, so hopefully it's not something that's coming back or anything like that. I hope. Let me get my links and everything. Hello everybody. Let me get my stuff organized. There we go. Let me grab this one. I changed back to. There we go. I'm gonna grab this one and I'm gonna do that. Okay. Okie dokie. Hello everybody. Welcome back, Phantom. Fee welcomed as well. No, not new. Well, new as of last time. So last stream I had the same graphics. I just didn't use this screen as much. I mostly used the other screen. But this is part of the persona set. I also got the persona transition. So last time I didn't have a transition that was themed, and I went on Etsy and found a themed transition. So now the transition will be more interesting too. But yeah, this is the same theme as last stream, except it's like a different screen of it, like a different view. This is the one where I don't like have anything pulled up to share view, which I'll be working on here shortly. Very 90s. Yeah, this is part of the persona stack, and a lot of their designs are like that. This one is Persona 5. When I went to look for the transition on Etsy, people actually had other Persona versions of themes and stuff too. They had Persona 4 Golden, which is the one that I really loved, that I played all the way through, as well as Persona 3. Or was it Persona 3 Golden and Persona 4 something? No, it was Persona 4. No, there's like... Oh, Persona 3 FES and then Persona 4 Golden was the two versions that I played. And I think I played Persona 4 like regular version as well. And I haven't gotten to 5 yet, but whenever I have the chance, I'm going to start getting to it. And every time I see the theme, it motivates me a little bit more. I haven't had the time yet. I got the PS5 all set up. Well, I turned it on. I haven't like logged into it yet. I haven't had time. Or like put the disc in or anything. The disc is still in the cling wrap, I am sorry to say. There's not enough time in the day. It's like every single day there's not enough time to do the normal like sleep and cook and all of that stuff, and then plus all of the stuff that I enjoy doing, plus all of the stuff that I have to do like work, and I don't know. I really wish that there was more time in each day and more time in life in general to do all of the things that I really want to do. 'Cause time in general is a big limiting factor for a lot of things for me. Especially recently when there's so many different things I want to do, and there's only so many hours in a day, unfortunately, which is unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate. That was a bit redundant. Yeah, if only. Damn it, God. All right, let me get my links all put up like I normally do, and then we'll do the rest of that Q&A that we started way back when by request. Oh, so I posted some videos this week, content creator mode activity. Yeah. Yeah, I've been I figured I could start small and get a few things out, and now that I've gotten those things out, I have like 5 different ones I'm editing on top of the really long one that I've filmed but haven't like I refilmed everything for that one, but I haven't put it together yet. So I have to like put together like the parts that are like my commentary. I have existing commentary and I didn't like it, so I refilmed the whole thing, and I gotta put that commentary to override the existing one, and hopefully it'll be a little bit shorter too. It's a little bit less blabby than I normally am. So I'm going to be working on that as well. But meanwhile, I do have so one went live today. I do have one more. I'm gonna try to schedule them so it's like one per week, so I don't get like overwhelmed. Because what I've done previously is I had like all of these ideas, and I started working on them, and since I was like really into it and I had all of these ideas that I wanted to do, I got them out really quickly and I got done with them pretty quickly, and then I started sort of putting them out as soon as I was done with them, and then I got overwhelmed and I ran out of ideas for a while, and I sort of had this I don't know what it's called. What is it called when like an artist's block or something, even though this isn't really that artsy. But I had something like that, like a creator's block of some sort, and had I basically scheduled all of those for a regular interval, which apparently is better for YouTube anyway. I heard that the algorithm likes something that's a regular upload versus batches of stuff here and there. Had I done that before, then nobody would have even noticed that I had some sort of creator's block going on, because by the time it would have resolved itself, then I would have still had things like going out every week, and then I would have had time to work on stuff, and yeah. But I have learned my lesson with that, so that's the thing. The only thing I'm not sure about now is like one of the things I'm working on. I have seen conversation about it online, so I'm thinking I would like to put that one out first, and then probably the bigger one after that. So, but I already have another different one that is almost ready as well, and another yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna quit blabbing now because I gotta do my links, and for some reason I can't multitask lately. I usually can. I'm usually very good at multitasking, but for some reason when it comes to streaming, completely opposite. I don't know why. I'm usually a wonderful multitasker, but not in this case. Which is okay. There's nothing horribly wrong with that. Most people have trouble multitasking. Although usually for me, it's not a problem if it's something more, if it's one thing that's more passive and then another thing that's more active versus multiple active things at the same time. Like I can listen to something and generally have a conversation if it's a sort of like some like low pressure sort of thing, where I can like participate in a conversation at the same time as doing other stuff, or I can listen to a podcast or something and do other stuff for sure. But when it comes to things that are both more involved, that I'm not so good at. You know what? I realized I haven't even shared the link for that video that came out earlier. Since it was scheduled, I only posted it to the Discord that we have for this channel, but I haven't put it anywhere else. I usually go through all the self-promo channels and drop links in there like I'm doing right now. And I'm realizing I haven't done that for that video that I did earlier, but that's okay. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow or something, so it's not 2 things in a row. That'd be a little cringe. So there has been a lot going on in the world, the whole Iran thing, and apparently Kristi Noem got fired. Whatever, and none of that really. Her getting fired, I don't think that's gonna make any sort of difference. Might save the government some money from all of that personal stuff that she's been funding with her money, but besides that, I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference whether she is or isn't employed. I am happy to see that so many people are coming out against the war, but I'm also a little disappointed to see that it doesn't seem like it's making a difference. It's very obvious that most people are against the war in Iran. And that video of that Marine, I saw it once, I couldn't watch it again, and it's everywhere. And there's so many things that are not great in the world right now, and I was sort of thinking about it, and I was like, do I do this whole, like, oh, let's cover weekly world event stuff? And then I looked at what was going on in the world, and I was like, nah. ain't nobody need that. It's like, I don't know, it's not, none of it is good. It's all sort of doom and gloom, and I don't know, maybe if I give it a little bit of time, I might be able to cover it in an interesting enough way that isn't like, oh, look at this, it's another war, boohoo. And there's not much to it. So yeah. Welcome back, Snizzler. You're welcome. Yeah, last time we went on for like, what was it, about 7 hours long or something like that. It was crazy. Near the end there, I really wanted to finish it, but I was like, is it necessary? So, yeah, thanks for hanging out and keeping company. Welcome back, Rick Nell. Nice to see you. Oh, you're multitasking. Multitasking while listening about multitasking. Inception. Hello, Naz. Welcome back. Nice to see you. She's taking the fall to ease up some of the heat the administration is getting. Oh, Kristi Noem. I wouldn't be surprised. Lots of Fall Guys around. And Fall Guys and ladies that allegedly sleep with some of the guys as well. It's such a bad example. I don't know if y'all heard all the rumors about Kristi Noem banging that guy that's working with her, and it's like, okay, here we can put women in a powerful position, and what do they get famous for? Basically being a horrible human being and banging all well, not all the dudes, but banging some guy. That's what they're famous for. That's what we know them for. I don't. Maybe it's good there's not more women in power, because I mean, look what they do with it. Look what we give them all these positions of power, and they're just like, I'm gonna bang some guy the whole time and use the money for personal needs and be a little diva about it. It's not a great look for women. I don't know why they have to pick, anytime they put women in government, I don't know why they have to pick the worst possible ones. I swear it's like, it's gotta be some sort of conspiracy in order to basically make women look bad so that nobody elects a woman or puts a woman in government or power positions again, because they keep putting in all these horrible examples that are, you know what, it is what it is. As long as I fell asleep last time. I'm surprised I didn't fall asleep because I have fallen asleep on stream before, on shorter ones before too, but actually tonight I'm pretty sleepy as well, so we probably won't be going very long. I also have an appointment earlier in the morning tomorrow, so don't go and try to debate Jesus on the marine situation. He'll probably tell you he broke his own arm. Oh my goodness, that's a good one. Red pill. Most politicians are always somehow the worst choices somehow. Yeah, I don't know how that happens. You would think a position that has all this responsibility, but also power and easily corruptible. So on one hand, it's like you would think that as a society we would try to elect better people, but it seems like the people that even want to be elected are the ones that are not so great people that want to enjoy the perks of the position in ways that it's not supposed to be used, I suppose. Allegedly. Well, that's speaking generally, probably doesn't matter, but yeah, I know what I think I figured out what you were trying to say. It's a conspiracy to make humans look bad. All right. Yeah, you're multitasking. It's okay. If multitasking is a good excuse to not English properly. No, I, on the other hand, no longer have an excuse. I think I've done all the links and everything. Let me go ahead and get my notes. Because I had notes that I made for this. I think it's these. No, not these. Oh, something else. I've had AI go through and, well, I went and downloaded all of my lives, or at least a chunk of the most recent ones, and I had them transcribed, and I had AI go through and make chapters for all of them, because I know some of those run very long and we cover different topics. So I'm working on getting chapters for all of those so that it's easier to kind of like navigate around those in case anyone wants to go back to any of those at some point to like specific topics or whatever. So yeah, that's something else I'm working on. This one? No. Yeah, this one. I think these are my notes. Okay, so we did at some point cover this. I put a link in the description to when we did cover the debate portion of this one. Let me get it pulled up as well. Looks okay, a little bit big. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Transition. Okay, you ready for the crazy, cool-looking transition thing? I think it was totally worth it. Whee! I don't know. I like it. It fits with the rest of the theme, even though it didn't come with the theme. And I'm glad that it fits. And I'm a little bit confused as to why the theme didn't come with it, because usually it does come with one. This one did not. Even though it has such cool things, it didn't come with a theme for some reason. Or the transition in the theme. Okay. Okay. So split them up into clips so you'll get more views. Oh, that's a good idea. I can from YouTube Studio. I since I have them downloaded, I might as well, you know, clean them up a little bit. The cat is back. Yes. I did have to. I know the cat, it doesn't really go with the theme because Persona has its own cat, the one in the corner over here somewhere, right there. So it has its own cat, but since that one was really cute and I liked the way that it like hung over a ledge, sort of like pretend hung over a ledge, I wanted to keep it somewhere, and I figured that might be a good spot for it there. Gotta have a kitty cat. Cute kitty cats. All right. So I think we left off somewhere around the point where the debate ended, and I am told that the Q&A portion here is interesting because since the debater Tilly had to go, it looks like, I don't know why this whole thing is called the intro. Most of the debate is called the intro over here, and then we have viewer call-ins. So the debate is part of the intro somehow, which is interesting. And then this is where, I don't know if they chit-chat or whatever. And then this is where the Q&A starts. So this is where people call in, and we'll see what the situation is there. I think I have my sound and everything good. That looks okay. Oh, I forgot to pull out the meme board. Not that I use that much anyway. There we go. Do, 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 do. Oh my goodness. All over the place. Okay.
Hold on, let me.
Okay, so let me get Destiny back up here because I was basically debating him too.
Okay, wait.
All right, Destiny, can you hear Wicked Dreams?
I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me?
I can hear Wicked Dreams.
Can you
Yeah.
hear?
Are we good?
All right, cool.
No lag? Yeah?
All right, Wicked, you you sent in the $20 super chat because you're a member. Appreciate the support, man. What question do you have?
So I was just curious. It seemed like everything that she was saying was just everything is a preference upon how she feels. There's really no grounding in any of her morals. So how does she say that her preferences are better than somebody else's preference?
Yeah, Destiny, do you think that the way she explained it, she was able to ground objective morality by utilizing logic, reason, and...
It's the... Okay. These are all of the exact same... Like, you can tell these people listen to Andrew Wilson, not only because they are arguing for forced doctrine, which is something that he apparently named, but it's all the same exact arguments. It's like they've heard him say this stuff, and like, oh, people can't like ground things all the way down. Well, how do you ground this? Well, how do you ground that? How do you ground the response to that? Oh, is that so? Well, how do you ground that? So it's like, okay, we have seen this before.
in human agency.
I'll let him answer over here because I do think that Tilly did ground it. It's not, they're giving it it's been a while since I saw it, but from what I remember, she did ground it. Like, it wasn't in God, obviously, but it was a reasonable grounding, like as far as somebody could take it. So she did have a position here that I'll let them get to it, but they're acting like she basically was like, well, I like it better, so okay, thank you, bye. And that's not what I recall happening. She actually did have some decent arguments, and a lot of arguments that she had I do cover in my video as well, which is interesting.
Well, first, wait. Can you hear me, or is it laggy still?
Reach over here. I hope this one doesn't disappoint. I thought there were some interesting points made. Yeah, for sure. And I also like completing things. It's always nice to finish something. Debate University is growing for sure. More and more of these arguments are being made. The only thing ground is my kids.
Are we all caught up?
We can
we're all
hear
caught
you.
up. Okay.
Yep.
We're
All right.
good.
Okay. I don't know if we got to the morality part necessarily, but it sounded like her grounding had to do with the idea that there emerges from humans some like optimal form of society, some social organization that is beneficial to every person in like some objective manner, and there are like ways to achieve that end state. And then you could argue that the beliefs that everybody in a group has to possess to get to that end state are like objectively true beliefs. So for instance, if we want to have a better society, all of us should objectively believe in not killing each other with no justification. And that's where her objective grounding for the morality comes from.
Yeah, but what if we believe that it's
That sounds a little bit weird to me. Like all of us should objectively believe. Oh, okay. He might be saying that like for in order for society to work well, it's objectively true that people should have these beliefs. I don't know. That sounds weird to me still. I don't know if I like that. I think I see where he's getting with it, and I kind of like the direction it's going, but the way it's phrased feels off to me.
okay? And I mean, who's to say that I'm right? Who's to say you're right? You know, what if it's better that we get rid of the people that, you know, bring harm to what we think is harm to our society? She's using essentially harm principle.
So I think
as what's better.
So she would argue that
this is another thing that Andrew Wilson says a lot when he argues, when people talk about like, well, even if they don't bring it up, he'll bring it up like, oh, it's the harm principle. It's like, oh, it's something to do with better and harm. And the way that they always cover it, at least that I've seen, is they sort of treat it like, oh, well, a person wants to make sure that there's no harm caused in society, and they want to like protect people from harm, and that's how we decide what's right. I remember looking this up before. I think it's in one of my videos, but there is an actual what's called harm principle. It's been a while since I've looked into it, but it's not exactly like that. It's more to do with, if I remember correctly, like how government should, like what are the limits, how do I phrase this? Like with what government can do and what's an acceptable level of harm that we can impose on people as a government. Let me phrase that better. Because there's a better way to phrase this. I'm not very good at phrasing things off the cuff. Yeah, so this is the John Stuart Mill one. The harm principle holds that the only legitimate reason a society or state can restrict an individual's freedom is to prevent harm to others. So there's a lot of things like what do you count as harm, and it's more about like governance. So what does the government do to like not give what how far can a government go in like controlling people that is guided by like what do we do, like the reason for that should be is, you know what, I'm not great at this. I'm not great at rephrasing stuff off the cuff, but it's basically something to that effect. So there is a specific thing that is called harm principle, and I don't usually see it, like every time it's brought up, I think it's treated as like, oh, in general, like there is harm and we gotta avoid it or something, versus like, oh, it's more about like how far do we limit the freedom of the people being governed, and that, you know, that depends on like the only reasons we have for that is to prevent harm, and what kinds of harm are there, because it's not like this isn't a physical only thing. There's all kinds of different harms that are discussed and that fall under it. So this whole like, oh, the harm principle, people say it because Andrew Wilson has said it like that, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a weird one because I've heard it so many times in a way that doesn't seem to cover or relate to what is called the harm principle, and people just talk about harm in general, and they tack the word principle on it to make it sound like it's something more than what they're selling it as. I don't know. It's kind of where I'm at with that. We ground them in God is just an assertion. Just an assertion grounding morality in God is worthless, absent an argument that God is real. You want to bring up philosophical jargon like grounding. Okay, how do you deal with the Euthyphro's dilemma? I feel so smart right now because I do indeed remember that one. Is the God and good stuff, and it's flip-flopping it. All right. Andrew's still laughing at Agrippa's trilemma. I don't think they would engage in good faith. Yeah, I mean, you know what? If I hear Agrippa's trilemma again or read it anywhere, I'm gonna lose my shit. There's like 7 hours of the same loop over and over and over and over again. I can't. Thinking back to it is giving me PTSD or something. I'm legit traumatized.
So when I talk about like, if I say like ontology, there's like a thing called a human being, and this from the human being emerges some things that we can say are objectively true. So like on a really basic level, we would say that there's an ideal, or there's a more ideal weight for a person, or it's better to have like lower blood pressure than like hypertension or whatever, right? That there's a collection of things that are good about people that emerges from people. If you have two societies and one group of people believes that, oh, well, we should be able to kill people or subject certain people to reductions in agency, that latter society is always going to be worse than the former society. So then the argument would be that if a rational, objective human is trying to evaluate what a society or social contract would look like, they would gravitate towards the one that respects autonomy and rights from more people, is I think the argument.
Yeah, but it all comes down to force at the end of the day.
I don't... What? I don't know if he didn't hear what was said or didn't get it, or... Cause that was so... It's like he completely ignored everything that was said and is like, well, it comes down to force anyway. It all reduces down to force. Okay, I mean, anyone can argue like this. You can basically pick a position, and no matter what your opponents say, you can be like, well, it all comes down to XYZ at the end of the day anyway, so... Not explaining how or why the opponent's little speech there didn't work against it, or nothing. Basically, if you sit there and you repeat your position over and over and say that no matter what, it's true anyway, regardless of anything, like that's one way to do it. I wouldn't say it's the correct way to do things, but that is an option. You could do that. It's not very convincing. Wilson always engages in good faith. That's basically axiomatic. It's an axiom of good faith. Euthyphro's dilemma is a true internal critique. It assumes God and morality are real. Oh, I see what you mean, because it's like if... is it that God is good because he does good things, or are the things good because God does them and God is good, or something like that? And you have to assume that God is a thing and that good is a thing. I kind of see that.
Society is created of nothing but force.
Well, no, society, there's a ton of things that we appeal to in society that doesn't come down to force. And even if we were to appeal to force, the class that we would appeal to at the end of the day wouldn't be men. It would be people with guns. It would be people with money. It would be people with titles. It would be people that own property. These would be the people we'd probably appeal to.
Yeah, and who's that mostly comprised of? It's men.
Yeah, but it's a minority of men.
Monopoly on force.
Men don't have a monopoly on force. Absolutely not. Who has more autonomy? Who has more rights? An American woman or a Somalian male?
Well, the male, because he can enforce it
No,
more
he
than
can't.
she
Not
can.
from Somalia. You can't enforce
Well,
anything.
we're talking about in America. So obviously the Somalian male would be here in America, so he can enforce that.
Why is it obvious that the Somalian is in America? He said Somalian because it's different than American, to point out the different countries. What is this guy legitimately not all there or something? I'm confused as to how his responses are supposed to be in response to what Destiny is saying. It seems like he's sort of saying stuff, but it doesn't seem like it's connected to anything that's being said by other people, and that's unsettling somehow. I don't understand. Like I'm legitimately confused by this.
He has the power to.
Well, no,
Unless
I'm
it's
saying
another man who has more power than him. If it's a single man versus a single woman, and he says I believe this, and she says I believe that, it comes down to force.
in a one-on-one situation that would be true, but we don't organize that way. We organize along social lines, right? Women in
Right. Well, okay. So if it's 5 men versus 5 women, it still comes down.
What is this obsession with pitting people against one another, and it's always like, oh well, what if we take a person here and take a person there, and it's only those people. No society exists. There's no rules. Somehow they're on an island for whatever reason, eating coconuts and like spearing fish, and it's only those people, and they have to figure life out on their own, and that's supposed to apply to the rest of the world somehow. People act differently in different situations, so sure, although that doesn't even work for that, because even if people are like 5 women and 5 men on an island and they disagree on something, it's still really unlikely that they're gonna fight. It's way more likely that they're gonna come to some sort of understanding and some sort of compromise, because that's how people work. That's one of our strengths as the Homo sapien species. Like, we are like this because that helps us survive. Because we have survived through organizing, even though we are physically weaker than a lot of animals, but because we have learned to organize and trust each other, and we tend to cooperate more than we fight, that's how we have gotten so far. It's literally part of our nature that this is how human beings work. And he's trying to say, for some reason, that's not true somehow. Like, if you put people together, they're gonna fight. They're gonna end up fighting. Like, it seems like something that's, for him, for some reason, inevitable. I don't know if that's a reflection of his inner personality or thoughts or something, where it's somehow like conflict all the time and it's fight or flight or whatever with everything. I don't know why people have this idea that everything is about fighting it out. That's not how people work generally. It's very rare that things get to that point, because it's costly regardless if you win or lose. It's kind of a lose-lose situation if it gets physical. And it's way too risky for either party. I don't understand this obsession with like pitting people against one another and go, okay, now fight. What? That never got past force doctrine is merely a descriptor. Oh my goodness. I cover that in the. I'm gonna have to stop saying I'm cover, but a lot of this stuff I do cover in the video that I have to finish editing. I did finish re-recording all the commentary, but a lot of this stuff is covered in that one, so it's feeling very repetitive for me right now. But I'm still glad we're finishing this, because it's actually not even that much longer. I think it's like an hour, which is, I think, pretty good for tonight, when I do need to get more sleep than I usually get. If all the men line up on one side and all the women line up on the other side, and they try to beat the other side up, the men grant women rights. Yeah, I mean, this is basically the argument. That's basically it. It is true that the stronger the force, the easier it is to establish one's will. You think you just fell out of coconut tree? Does force doctrine make men immune to female manipulation or manipulation from a weaker person? I don't get it. What a person can do is different than what they will do. Yeah, this whole like, oh, if you're stronger, that's somehow gives you a lot more power. I don't think that's true for society in general. There's lots of people that have way less physical strength that tend to be way more powerful, as in, like, they're rich and influential in society, and they can impose their will on us, but they're, like, puny or really out of shape or whatever. Like, it's more likely that people who are physically strong are less powerful in our society, and people who are physically weaker but have sort of the smarts and I suppose, well, I'm not really sure what exactly is required to be rich and influential. I think some of it is the right time and the right place, but that's not all there is to it. You do have to have some sort of smarts to get to be like a rich, influential person. And for some reason, generally, those people are not the strongest ones physically. Force doctrine, as far as I can tell, is Andrew Wilson's strawman of secular ethics. He claims to not believe it because rights come from God, but this is his argument of what a non-God work looks like. Right.
Down to force, whether it's a group, a single individual, no matter what, it still comes down to force.
Well, if it was 5 men versus 5 women, then society.
How is that an argument? He keeps saying, "Oh, well, whatever you say, bro, it's still force. It always comes down to force. If men and women fight it out, fist to fist, mano a mano." Or I suppose that's mano a mano is probably not generally applied to men and women fighting, but anyway. Have we forced anyone yet? Oh man.
Society would go extinct because nobody would reproduce because the men would just kill all the women, right? At some point,
no. I mean, they could do exactly like Cooley said. They could impregnate them. They could hold them, make sure they come to term. They could have the babies. I mean, there's ways that they could.
Okay. For some reason, people that advocate for force doctrine inevitably usually get to this really creepy shit where they have this sort of like fantasy of putting women in cages and doing horrible things to them, as he described. And what are they going to do with the kids? Like, this doesn't... Who would want a society like that? Like, that's not going to work for very long. Even if somebody does try to establish a society like that, that's not going to last. Those kinds of societies don't last. Who's going to raise the kids? You're going to have, like, specific men that are going to be nannies raising all the kids. They don't need a mother that's not literally, like, in a box somewhere. What the hell is... I understand that these are supposed to be examples and hypotheticals, and that they're not literally advocating for putting women in cages and, taking advantage of them. I understand that. But why is this even an argument? Why is this something that you even think to bring up as something that, like, to even say this stuff out loud in a serious manner as if that's supposed to disprove something? Like, the fact that technically, logically speaking, this sort of thing could be possible for a short amount of time, that doesn't prove anything. A lot of things are technically, logically possible for some time. Doesn't mean it's doable long term or that's something that people are inclined to do, or that's something that's practically possible at all. Why is this guy being so gross? Exactly. I don't understand this obsession with the whole like Cajun woman thing. That's exactly the same stuff that Wilson uses. So it's like this guy heard a bunch of Andrew Wilson debates and he's like, okay, I can do this. And he basically starts sort of like spewing all of the things that he's heard Wilson say at some point in like a random order. That's what this sounds like. Andrew advocated the Sith, the dark side of the Force, let the hate flow through you. What? I don't remember that. I'm not surprised, but I don't remember that. That sounds weird. They scrum out of it by saying, I'm not saying it's right. Women need to thank men for being benevolent. Yeah, I love that one. That's my favorite. To have the freaking... To come up with this idea is one thing. To say it out loud for these people, that's a whole another level of cringe. If I had I understand sometimes people have thoughts and they go weird places, but you don't say that stuff out loud. That's embarrassing. Like if you have weird thoughts that like or intrusive thoughts or thoughts of Cajun women or whatever, I understand sometimes people have weird, creepy thoughts. We don't need to hear every single one of them. And it certainly shouldn't be used as an argument for anything. Like this is so cringe. Let's see. He's using some fortune cookies. He said the Sith were the good guys, but he didn't advocate hate. I was just pointing out that the Sith can't be the good guys. I haven't heard him say that. That's such a weird thing to say. Not for me. Okay.
I'm not saying that is a correct or right thing to do, but it is something that they could do because they hold the monopoly on force to do that.
Okay, these people don't know what monopoly means. He's literally taking word for word things that Andrew Wilson has at some point said and spewing them out randomly. That's what this is. I don't have another explanation for this. They don't know what monopoly means. This is stupid. I cover that in this. I'm gonna stop saying this because I think a lot of this is covered in the video, but I literally covered the monopoly thing in the video as well. I really gotta get that out there soon because this is like I'm doing a lot of reading myself, so I really gotta work on that.
Why do we think
this is great motivation for working on that longer video?
Those societies haven't been the most successful ones, historically speaking.
Well, I mean, there's different reasons. There's many different reasons that could be.
Okay.
But that still has nothing to do with the force. They were still able to do it because they have force.
Well, so like it was explained earlier, I don't know the details of this, but it was explained earlier that there's some tribe in Papua New Guinea that is like incredibly weird, I guess, or patriarchal or whatever, how they organize their people.
Become warrior.
But it seems like that society is not like a dominating one on the planet. If anything, it probably would fail to quite a few societies where women are afforded, more rights than...
Well, they seem to be dominating over there.
Would you say that, is there any measure by which you would say that those societies are better than the societies in the West?
That's irrelevant.
Why? How is it irrelevant?
Because they're dominating over there.
They're not dominating anywhere else.
If they were over here, they would have been.
But they only exist.
But it doesn't matter if they're not dominating here. They're still dominating over there. It's still happening.
Yeah, but America dominates everywhere. The Western world dominates everywhere, right? They only exist.
We have the force. If we didn't have the force.
So the example of men dominating is that particular one. I'm not going to go into details on that one. That one's been brought up countless times, and they always go into the details, and YouTube doesn't like it, and it's honestly really gross to talk about. But is that still even a thing? Let me ask if that's, because I thought that wasn't even a thing anymore. Like they shut it down or something. Oh my goodness, my stuff is broken. Men could look up women, but women could manipulate men into letting them out. They're interfering descriptions of reality from hypotheticals. Batman could be real, therefore he's real. Yep. I haven't been interested in his debate courses. Pretty sure he contradicts this in his debate with Straighter. Who is Straighter Aid? Monopoly is that board game. If you pass go, you get 2. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you get to put women. Okay. You get that's even better. Force doctrine is the same as saying this light bulb is brighter than this other one. Straighter Aid was the woman he debated on Timcast a few weeks ago. Oh, okay. I saw like pieces of that, but not the whole thing. And yeah, apparently that practice where that boys needed to ingest the nasties of the adult. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. Nasty stuff, but apparently that practice has largely died out. So even that's not even really a thing anymore. And the fact that they even used that as an example of like, look what happens when men take over. Like, okay, at some point, sure, maybe, I don't know if we know like all of the intricacies of exactly how this tribe worked, but usually in situations like this, it's not like it's men versus women. In this case, it's some kind of ritual between older men and younger boys. A really gross and nasty one that has apparently died out, but it's not an example of like men versus women, and it's not even, we don't even know for a fact that when that used to be a thing, when that was still practiced, that the women weren't also supporting this tradition. Usually when we have oppression or weird creepy traditions like this, or we have like women have less rights or something, which isn't even something they're talking about like boys having to do this weird thing. It's also true most of the time that women are also participating in supporting these traditions that are the ones that are oppressing them, I suppose. That's usually how oppression is done. It's not literally standing there and physically forcing people to do things. A lot of it is handled via weird traditions. Like in this case, it's weird ritual tradition thing, and a lot of tradition is passed from mother to children, and a lot of mothers and women in general do also take part in have their own sort of oppression or their own like supporting the fact that they have less rights, I suppose, due to religious or traditional beliefs or whatever. So it's not like it's literally, oh, all men over here, all women over here, all right, no, fight. That's not how that works. Force doctrine is practically meaningless. Yeah, I mean, I never said that force in general is meaningless, but force doctrine as described is completely stupid and it makes no sense. And it's not at all how the world works. It's not describing anything. It's completely, utterly useless. I'm not saying that force in general is useless, because there is a time and a place for force, and it does play a role in our society, but that compared to the amount of times when people comply for other reasons versus when they comply due to either being scared of being physically forced or literally being physically forced, it's not even close. It's completely not even close. It's like 1%, less than 1% versus more than 99. It's completely not even close. So something that's a backup, which is force, isn't something that's like primarily how our society functions and what it's built on, and like somehow so important that like nothing works without it. Yeah, I mean, sure, it's necessary sometimes in that rare occasion as backup, not as the main thing. Wait, men use force doctrine against other men? That's impossible. It only works when you use your big man muscles to grant rights to puny women. I think the reason they use the example they do is to shock the other person in debate. Most people don't like engaging with scenarios like this. That's a good point, and I also don't like engaging in scenarios like this. And I think he might be right. I think it is to like throw the person off their game, because why else even bring this stuff up? Because it doesn't help their case. It really doesn't. Like this doesn't, like how does this situation prove anything about men granting women rights? The situation between like men and boys somewhere on an island that isn't practiced anymore. Like how does this situation prove that men grant women rights? It has nothing to do with it. So I agree that bringing it up is completely like oh, look at this. I do agree with that. That's a good observation. Unfortunately, I don't think most Andrew followers are sophisticated enough to see that God grounds rights in Andrew's view, and I'm not sure he likes to admit that. I have heard him admit that, and again, in the longer video I'm working on, I have clips of him admitting that, but he will say that, and then he will immediately say something else. Like, he'll say, oh, well, the only way you can have rights is if God grounds rights, and sometimes he'll even say that he thinks that God grounds rights, but then he'll also say that rights don't exist, and he'll also say that men ground rights, and he'll also be like, well, you can ground rights in God, but wait, men grant rights. So you can't have both. You got to pick one. And he doesn't want to pick one. If you can make someone squirm, that's an optical victory in their book. Yeah, that was okay.
Somebody else would be
great observations.
Dominating because if they have the force.
But their
again,
society is a more patriarchal one, but they lack the force. So there's some other mechanism that force is being derived from. It's not just because we have more men, right?
No, it's well, we have more men. We have more men that can apply force.
Do we have more men than India? Who would win in a war? The United States versus India?
I mean, the United States would beat every country in the war. We have the biggest military.
Yeah, but we don't have the most men. So there's something else there that's powering the force, right?
Well, currently right now, it's so currently I see what Destiny is saying. He's saying that it's more than just like numbers of men. And currently in today's society, that is true because listen, if the reason why you got Israel, a small state of what? Comprised of what, 10 million people? I think it's 10 million people in Israel. Maybe
about
a little bit
7
more.
8 million Jews, yeah.
Yeah, right. Something like that. But the reason why they have a nuclear bomb and these countries around them don't have any nukes, right? So, and also America is helping them. So, yeah, we have technology that comes into play. But even if we look at, let's just say...
I'm failing to see where Israel is somehow proof of men granting women rights. I'm still missing that little piece that's supposed to connect them. I don't understand where he's going at all. Again, this person is also just saying stuff. For Andrew, I 100% think it's his attempt at an internal critique, but it's really just a straw man his followers, I think, by unironically. Yeah, I mean, to him, every time he says basically anything and he has to, like, walk it back somehow, he'll be like, oh, it was just internal critique. It was just internal critique, y'all. I didn't mean it. Nothing I say I mean. It's all internal critique. Anytime you want to criticize anything I've said, well, you know what? That was internal critique. I'm gonna start using that. I mean, if it works. If I ever say something real dumb, I can be like, I was doing internal critique. So you can't criticize me for anything. Let's just say everything dumb I ever have said or will say, that's me doing internal critique. That's what that is. Yep. If that's so believable nowadays. If men ground rights for women, how can women have rights over their husbands' bodies at 1 Corinthians 7:15? Women's overriding rights over men are grounded in men. Yeah, they're this whole like it either God grants rights or men grant rights. You can't have like the same rights being granted by both, because then it's like men would be overriding God. That makes zero sense. Andrew Wilson sucks up to Nick Fuente's internal critique. Has that been happening? I thought they used to have beef or something. I didn't know that that was a thing now. I'm not up to date on that. Part of that sounds internal. Okay. Let's move on.
400 years ago, and you take away guns, there's no guns. Generally speaking, it's going to be numbers.
Sure, but
take away guns, it's going to be numbers.
Yeah, but there are guns, right?
Yeah.
And the societies that have
guns now, since there are guns now, who's better at utilizing these guns, and who's better at utilizing whatever this technology that they make? It's going to be men.
We make that.
That doesn't really have anything to do with anything. Even Andrew himself admits, and again, I do have clips of this in that video that I'm working on, where he admits that on several different occasions that guns are an equalizer when it comes to force and power. So, I mean, he can't make like all of these admissions and then still argue against it. It doesn't make any sense. So either guns are a power equalizer or they aren't. It can't be like, oh, well, you can be like marginally better at using guns, and that still won't really matter if somebody like still, if you get like even like 10 women to point and shoot in one direction, like one of them is going to hit you. You can be as good at guns as you want, but they can still do that. This gendering, I really don't understand why it's gendering specifically and why it's not anything else, because women and men are basically one way of dividing people into different categories, but there's so many other ways of categorizing people by beliefs or other physical properties. And it's way more common for people to be organized into different groups based on non-physical characteristics, like what they believe, especially in the West. And if it is a physical characteristic, it's way more likely for them to organize themselves by things like skin color, for instance. Way more likely to organize themselves and split up into different categories and groups, and like even have conflict with one another based on skin color, way more than based on gender. Like so much more that it's not even close. What men are inherently better at guns? Yeah, I mean, even granting that, it still doesn't really matter. Even if we were to grant that, even though it, I mean, again, the sort of father of this force doctrine, his wife is a firearms instructor. So to still argue against like women not being able to use them as well or something is so stupid. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah. Phantom has a new idea. Since chocolate is the most popular flavor of ice cream, chocolate lovers grant vanilla lovers rights because they are more numerous. Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with that. There are more of them. I'm pretty sure chocolate wins over vanilla any day, so I can't argue with that. That's way too strong of an argument. I can't possibly. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many ways to split this kind of stuff. Yeah, firearms instructors are ironic as fuck. Yeah, absolutely. it doesn't make sense. Like if you sort of had this idea that maybe women can't do firearms, they're all like puny and weak or whatever. If you had thought that and you had no experience with women having firearms or shooting them or whatever, if you were basically ignorant of the fact, maybe I could understand why you would say stuff like that. I could understand why. But if your own wife does it and she teaches others, it's like at some point it's gotta be a lie at some point, because you can't. How do you argue against that when you're the one that says that guns are a power equalizer and your own wife does it? You can't turn around and be like, oh, well, women can't do it as well, therefore men grant women rights. That's at some point it's like a liar, liar, pants on fire situation. Walking contradiction. Yeah, absolutely.
Like men made the guns, men did it all.
Yeah, but can you think of a single man that can make a gun?
It's called a 3D printer.
Yeah, so no.
Yeah, you still need some parts besides, like, you can't 3D print a whole one usually. You still need some parts that you buy normally, I think.
Because no man makes a 3D printer, right? 3D printers and guns are produced by societies. You need a whole...
Well, that too, but I think even if you do have one, people normally like buy portions of them that are like the metal parts, and then they can 3D print some plastic bits, and it tends to not last very long. You can get maybe a few shots off, and that's still not, like, even if you did have a 3D printer, I don't think you can do a whole one without it falling apart immediately or being extremely dangerous. Is that so? Make a gun out of saltpeter and bamboo. I mean, a lot of people can make or attempt to make stuff that goes boom out of raw materials, but they might blow their own hand off in the process, which is way more likely than them hurting anyone else with it on purpose. Yeah. I kind of see what he was saying though, but even granting him that, it still doesn't really work.
The man that can make a gun.
So many of these arguments, like, even if you were to grant them the like first premise or two, it still doesn't follow. The conclusion still doesn't work. It's still, even if you were to grant so many things, it still doesn't work. That's kind of the funniest part of this.
And could make a gun by using a 3D printer.
A man can't even make a pencil on his own, right?
You go into the wild and you encounter a wild 3D printer growing on a tree. You pick the wild 3D printer off the tree and you're like, okay, printer, make me a pew pew.
You have to have collections of societies that all come together in order to gather the supplies, to ship them, to manufacture them. There's a whole supply chain of every single part.
So then how was the first gun made? Was it not made by a man?
It was probably made by a collection of people that do research, that come together and figure out how to build things.
Let's say 5 men. Yeah, that's
even
still
if you say,
appealing
even
to
if you say
a
5,
patriarchy.
But it's not though. It's appealing to like a society that's organized around principles that require some mutual agreement in order for people to work together.
So if that's the case, then why didn't women create these guns?
Because men can enforce or have more power to head societies.
Also, women are not as interested in that kind of thing. On one hand, a lot of these like red pill guys, which is what these are over here, like Wilson does. A lot of these people are like, well, women are so different. They don't do all of these jobs that men do. They prefer to do all this like nurturing type stuff. That's what they're better at, and that's what's more natural for women to do, is all this like nurturing kinds of jobs where they take care of people. And then men are more like, generally speaking, more like science minded and more technical, and that's kind of overall where men go, and that's normal for them. And they're not as often doing all the nurturing jobs. So on one hand, they say, oh, men and women, they're so different, they prefer to do different things, and then that's over here. And then they turn around a little bit over here and they're like, well, why do women make guns? though. Like, it was all men that did the gun thing. So, like, why can't they make guns? Like, come on, man. They prefer nurturing jobs. Like, you people are the ones that are arguing for this. Like, the men and women are different. So what? Like, it makes sense. Okay? It doesn't matter who came up with it if everybody has it now. This is so weird. Lucky break running into this wild 3D printer. Everyone knows before 1893, women didn't exist. Guns require a Y chromosome to operate. Science. Clearly, I can't argue with that. There is this like a really technical part on all firearms, and it like pricks your finger, and it reads all of your sciencey bits and little molecules and things, and it's like, oh, this is a man, and then it fires. If it reads any sort of women stuff, if it sort of does the prickly thing and it detects any feelings whatsoever, if you have any feelings or emotions whatsoever, it does not work. That's totally how firearms operate. I swear. This is a well-known fact. Yeah, I mean, that's so stupid.
There you go.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
We have the power to enforce.
But you say we. You're not in the team, though. The we is the people with the power.
I'm a man. I do have more power to enforce my right over.
Also, something that I don't really mention as much, but a lot of things that I think I have sort of recently made a similar point. A lot of things that men do to, like, force related, like the firearm thing, a lot of those things are for the purpose of protecting their women and children. So if you take women and children out of the equation, maybe they don't even need firearms. Like, I think men lose a lot of motivation when they don't have people to protect, as far as, especially back in the day when that sort of thing was, there was more risk and stuff in day-to-day life that we don't really have as much of in the West anymore.
Over a woman at any point.
But you don't, because there are a million women in this country that you could walk in and try to enforce your will, and you would be killed immediately by security, by another man, by somebody of a higher class, by somebody with more weapons. There's a million other things in society that are more important than your sex or gender when it comes to enforcing your will.
Yeah, because the threat of force is not because of the threat of other. It's the threat of other men. It's not because of the threat of other women.
But it's not the threat of other men. It's not just any men, though.
There is.
It's not just any
man.
There's
the threat of other men.
It's a particular type of man, right? What's the more important factor? It's going to be things like how much money you have, the access to military arms. It's going to be your organization. Like, these are the things that are going to matter way more than just being a man. Being a man might be a part of it, but if you have a society where there are 100,000 men and 100 men rule those 100,000 men, like feudal societies, things organized around monarchies and everything in the past, it's weird to say, well...
Yeah, this is like saying that short-haired people grant rights to long-haired people. You're missing out on, even if we were to grant that it's like all about force, you're missing out on the part that's important. The part that's important isn't like what gender you happen to be, or how long your hair happened to be, or what other like physical characteristics that aren't relevant to the part where you do have a firearm and you can successfully use it. So I don't know. Even if you were to grant the like force is like the driver of everything part, the gender is sort of beside the point. The point is being able to physically impose yourself on others. And sure, if more of those people are men than women, that's fine. But the category that matters isn't like male or female, because then you miss out on some of the females and you don't get all of the males either. It doesn't match up exactly. What you need is people who can use firearms and can physically impose themselves on others. If we grant that like force is everything bit, which like that's a whole different thing that I believe we've already discussed.
The men are in control. Not really. There's a very small group of men that are in control of everybody.
So can you tell me how do you?
Yeah, that's I think something I've brought up before is like that's like saying that people in uniforms, like anyone who wears uniforms, they grant rights to those who don't wear uniforms, but you also sweep up like fast food workers in that. The same way that if you say that men are the ones that grant rights to women, you also sweep up all kinds of men that can't even lift a firearm or don't have any sort of a desire or ability or incentive or whatever to go out and do anything physical to anyone. Like you bring in people into this category that don't belong in the category. That's just the same way as if you were to say, well, a lot of military and police wear uniforms, so like all uniform people are granting power or granting rights to all the non-uniform people, but you sweep up all the uniforms that don't have anything to do with enforcing anything physically. It's a category error, basically. I like this. You guys are so smart.
How do you have a society without force?
Real quick, Wit K, because we got a lot of people.
And I do mean that seriously.
In here, I want to get some other people up that send some donations.
Yeah, no
let's spend just 2 minutes on this, and I'll let you just close it out.
One last question is: how do you have a society without force?
Right.
Nobody is saying you have to remove force entirely. And who is trying to say that? Like, just because something is necessary sometimes doesn't mean everything is based on it.
Force is probably a necessary part of a society for maintaining rule and order, for fighting off other societies.
But who is going to be the people who apply force?
We have to make that decision. It's going to be the
gender that is physically capable of doing it, and men.
Again, this is a category. Categorically speaking, it's not gender based. That's not what it's about. Just because it happens to be like one gender more than another, that's sort of beside the point.
Have that monopoly because we are physically capable.
Men do not have a monopoly.
It's not always going to be all men. It's not going to always be men. There might be some women in there, but
so it's not a monopoly. I guess he doesn't know what a monopoly is if he admits that there's going to be some women in there, because monopoly means it's all one thing. Mono-opoly, mono, one. What is this? Like, oh, there's some women in there now, so it's not a monopoly. Thank you. Like, what is this guy talking about?
Majority, a big majority is going to be men because we are physically capable of doing it. That's the difference.
Are the majority of men cops?
Yes, majority of men are cops.
That's news to me. The majority of men are cops. This guy is like, okay, I gotta get this guy out of here. I gotta get someone else on. This doesn't look good for me. Look at his face. He's like, It's like, uh-oh. It's not going well. It's not going well. Oh, it's a per capita argument. Andrew loves some per capita. Funny you say that, because there are some arguments that he presents that are not per capita, but then when somebody else tries to present similar arguments that are like an overall thing and not per capita, he'll be like, well, that's not per capita. What is it per capita? But he himself does the same shit. Oh no, it's manopoly. I'm so sorry. I was wrong. It's manopoly. Obviously, that's totally different from a monopoly. So manopoly, wait, that makes way more sense. I apologize. This guy's right. I don't know what I was thinking. Even if men had the monopoly on force, humans align in gender after pretty much everything else. Yep, that's... Yeah. Again, like, you can grant these people all sorts of things. You can grant them literally a pile of little bits that they try to claim that are not true. But even if you grant all of those things, the rest of it still doesn't work. The whole thing is completely convoluted. I look like I wanted a poster and I'm under arrest. Okay. Oh, most men are cops, so yeah, that makes sense. I gotta get out of here. I gotta go on the run.
Majority of men are firefighters.
Gotta get a different colored hat or something. You need a better disguise.
There's majority of men are in the Navy.
The majority
majority
of cops are men, but the majority of men are not cops, right? Who we dole out power to is a decision made by a state apparatus, by a society. That's the thing that emerges collectively.
A majority of men don't want to be cops. Not everybody wants to be a cop, but
don't. So like, it's fine if majority of men don't want to be cops, but somehow when women basically don't want these jobs, that's different. Okay.
The people who want to be cops are majority men.
Sure, but the power that they're granted.
He's just proving his own thing. What is this?
And the structure and the society that they exist in are all emergent things from said society. It's not just men. It's a group of men that have been granted power by society to enforce rules and laws. It's not just random men walking around enforcing their will.
But at the end of the day, it's still men creating the enforcement, doing the enforcement.
Well, it's not just men creating the enforcement. We all vote on laws and everything, right?
Yeah, but it's a majority of men. So if it's
a majority, not a monopoly. Okay, it seems to be shifting here all over the place.
Has to rely.
All his arguments are sort of like spilling everywhere and running away from him.
To one sex to actually hold up the end of the bargain to make the society run, it's going to rely on men.
Society running is not just force, though. That might be a precondition, but it's not sufficient to power all of society. There's plenty of societies with just force. They suck. The one that you described in Papua New Guinea sounds like a shitty society. There are lots of societies that have some
and even those societies that people tend to claim are just force, they aren't just force. They may have force as a bigger component than other societies, but it's not force on its own. Basically, any society I can think of has required things besides force that give them some sort of legitimacy, whether it's tradition or religion or something. It's not only force. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's logically possible for there to be somewhere society at some point that is only force and nothing else. Sure, that's logically possible, but practically speaking, no, not really. I can't think of one. Again, not that it's logically impossible because I can't think of one, but it doesn't tend to happen. Face reveal is your best disguise, like Roshart. I can't say that. From Watchmen. I haven't seen Watchmen. I know of Watchmen, but I haven't seen it. Forced Doctrine of the Gaps. Yeah, that's a good one.
To us it is, but to them it's not.
You don't think there's any objective measure by which you can say whether some society might be better than another society, or some culture might be better than some other culture, or some group
Again, but I just told you, to us it is, but to them it is not.
Well, I mean, if you're going to ultimately argue that everything is subjective at the end of the day, I mean, I guess subjective and relative, I can agree, but then at that point there's no, I don't know what we're even arguing then.
Yeah, but again, whether at the end of the day it still comes down to force.
What?
This is exactly the same stuff that he was repeating when he first came on. I think he's stuck in some sort of loop.
What comes down to, well, if it's all subjective and relative, then who cares?
Wait, say that again?
If it's all subjective and relative, I mean, who cares?
I mean, I would care.
I thought you just said that. So do you think the society you live in now is superior to the Papua New Guinea society, or do you think it's irrelevant at the end of the day?
I mean, I think it's superior because, I'm not having to go suck some dude's dick, but, that's just me.
So some
people might like that.
Sure, but most of us probably prefer the society we live in now versus the society that they live in, right? And we have the ability to maintain the society, even though theirs is probably more patriarchal, right? Because we have this whole social structure that has emerged to ensure our rights, our freedoms, our ability to do scientific research, to build guns, to build nukes.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that there's people in that society that rather live there than live here.
I don't think so, because if that was the case, we'd probably have seen more of those societies emerge than the ones that we live in now.
Well, that just depends on the morals of the people. But there's still people who believe that it's, over there is pretty good and they like it over there.
Honestly, I don't know what else to say about this. This is going like he's saying stuff. He is certainly saying stuff, but it's not in any sort of. I don't know why he is saying these things. Like, he is saying words, but I don't know why. I don't know. We'll see if we can get to the next person. What? He's a relativist? What the argument premises the conclusion that forced doctrine is true rights are men enforce rights, atheists can't ground morals, therefore feminism has a contradiction. Yeah, this is pretty embarrassing. What is on this guy's shirt? Oh, like over there somewhere? This guy or this guy? Or this guy? Is there something on his shirt? Because it's like a tank top thing. Andrew Wilson brand fortune cookies. That's fitting. Affliction. What? I didn't know there was even anything on his shirt.
There, they have no problem
There's not much shirt.
with what's going on.
Do you think it's totally random? Wait, real quick. Do you think it's totally random that most societies look like the ones that we're in today versus societies that look like the ones in Papua New Guinea? Do you think that was just a random chance? Like a roll of the dice?
Hold that question real quick. I got to speak to the chat. Everyone that's in the chat, we got a lot of trolls in here that's coming in backstage. Whether they're trying to come in backstage, it looks like it's some of your people, Desi. Like they're not even sending in any cash to come backstage. They're just, coming backstage. But once again, any of my chat or even Destiny's chat, if you want to come in and ask a question, if you're not a member, you got to send in a $50 super chat. If you are a member, you just got to send in a $20 super chat.
I think they said this guy sent in 20 and he's a member, so he paid $20 to come embarrass himself. That's awkward. It looked like a print, but your video's over it. Oh, I didn't even know that. I should move that. Why did you guys say something earlier? I think I had it over here from uh-oh. Let me group this together. I can make myself a little smaller too. There's really no good place to put myself on this one. Oh, you know what? I can go up here. Why didn't you all say anything? You were missing out this whole time. Yeah, no one gets into the backstage without paying. Trolls employing force in his chat. Oh, it's a tattoo. Yeah, I was like, oh, what are you talking about? There's not much shirt. He's not used to getting pushback. He's a deer staring at the headlights. Didn't want to look at his face. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he did it on purpose. Not missing much. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize that it was like exactly where his face was for some reason. Like earlier, it seemed like it was okay, but since he's like ducking, it's especially like covering his whole face. Sorry. I apologize, y'all. You gotta tell me these things. I was like, what are you talking about? He doesn't really have a shirt on. And he like hardly has a shirt. I can, but I think he's almost gone. They're gonna take him off here.
Now allow you on up. Dane Snyder.
Is he bald? No, unfortunately he's not bald. He definitely has hair that's growing there. He's just shaved it. It's his forced doctrine posture. Yeah, really employs full confidence there. Like, please don't look at me. Yeah, his head is shaved. Yeah, I don't think this one counts.
Snyder, I see Rachel Wilson. I'm going to get to your comments as well. Anybody that wants to come on up, do it now. The room is not full. It's available.
Rachel really is everywhere in all of the comments all the time. Doesn't she have kids? Isn't she like, oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I homeschool my children, but like, when does she get the time? It's like every time I turn around, she's somewhere in the chat for hours and hours and hours, constantly everywhere. Like, how do you do anything? Like, I can't imagine having the time for anything else besides being like hanging out and chat everywhere, all over the place. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, we do still need a bald reference. Maybe we'll get lucky and somebody else will come on that really is bald. No, I mean, well, there is nothing wrong with baldness, but it appears that there has to be at least some baldness reference now, or else there's some sort of I don't know, bad juju or something. Yeah, Wilson. She never hopped on the queue to come on. Oh. Yeah, it seems like she was in the chat somewhere.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you think it's just a roll of the dice that more egalitarian societies seem to emerge as more successful than the more patriarchal ones?
I mean, it depends on what you define as successful.
Anything that we would deem to be successful.
As in...
How about this?
Like
in human
what?
history, let's just say for war. In human history, when two societies have gone to war with each other, which one tends to win? The more patriarchal one or the more egalitarian one?
Well, the one that can apply more force. That really doesn't matter.
Which one seems to be able to apply?
Well,
but why does it seem like the more egalitarian ones always seem to be the ones that generally win?
how would they be egalitarian and generally win? I would see it as the ones that have more force.
Do you think that
Well, it doesn't
egalitarian
matter whether
societies
they're
might produce?
egalitarianism.
Yeah, but it seems like they produce more force. Why do egalitarian societies tend to produce more force than patriarchal societies?
I would have to see that. I don't know that that's factual.
Well, do you think that the United States was more patriarchal, or do you think Japan was more patriarchal in World War II? Or do you think that, like, in the Crusades, or do you think that, like, Muslim, like, caliphates, do you think those were more patriarchal?
It doesn't seem like he is understanding what is being said. Does anybody else get that from him? He had some like key phrases he sort of tossed out kind of randomly, but he doesn't seem to really get what he's being asked.
Or do you think that, you know, Western nations were more patriarchal for World War I?
I mean, I think we were more patriarchal.
You think in Muslim societies, you think that they had equal rights between men and women?
This man is so confused.
No, not in Muslim societies. Muslim societies are completely different. They're like extreme on a lot of ends.
Sure. Why did they collapse? They seem to be a heavily patriarchal society.
I mean, this also has to do with IQ and as well.
Why do
I mean, it's
higher
not just
IQ
patriarchal.
societies tend to be less patriarchal and more egalitarian?
I mean, I don't know.
Is he trying to like self-soothe with this like rocking motion now? He's like trying to baby himself. Make the questions go away, make the questions go away, make the questions go away. The Jedi had more force and they lost, at least for a little while. I think he's a bit lost. Probably ran out of cookies. I think he doesn't want to get it. It might makes. Might makes. If Grandma makes cookies, she's mighty. Grandma. Destiny keeps trying his escape doors, really trying to pin him down. I don't know. I think this guy pinned himself down plenty already. I don't think he needs any help with that.
No, that's true.
Well, does it seem true?
I mean, to me, it doesn't seem to me that it would be.
Do you think that higher IQ societies tend to be more patriarchal and lower IQ society? Can you think of like, does that just feel true? I guess on a universal level, does it seem like lower IQ?
Well, I mean, I think if you're a patriarchal society, you have a little bit higher IQ in some areas.
You know what? We'll just wait for him to
Okay.
move on.
It just seems strange because I feel like all the patriarchal societies.
I don't
seem
understand
to be,
where you're going with this, but
well, I'm just saying that the force that you're talking about seems to emerge more efficiently. It's organized more efficiently in more egalitarian societies rather than heavily patriarchal ones. And it seems like one of the main arguments earlier was that patriarchy can undermine.
Does he not know what patriarchal means? Because I'm pretty sure he doesn't know what egalitarian means, but I thought he would at least know patriarchal, or like the patriarchy in general. You would think he would know what that means, because if he knows all of these sort of like Wilson key phrases that he tosses out, you would think he would understand the concept of patriarchy or something that is more patriarchal. But I don't think he does. Your game comes by force, bro. I don't know if the vibes tell him anything. I don't know if he doesn't seem to have. I don't think he has even vibes. It's like it seems completely empty. Like something is. I don't know if there's anything going on there. He's like, and he's saying stuff. I don't know. This is weird. I feel kind of bad for him, honestly. If might makes them, does it make hierarchy societies? The matriarchy is on his left arm. Oh, is that supposed to be like an alien Mary or something? Usually I think Mary is portrayed with that blue head covering thing, but she's got like something going on there. I don't know. I could be wrong. It's an odd one for sure.
Mine aspects of a society that might make it a more valid force projector, that having a patriarchy is undermining agency and rights in a society, and that these are the things that give rise to better societies which could produce more force.
So I think what he has,
he's not even gonna try to say anything this time. I think he ran out of his little like a bag of phrases that he was tossing out, so he's sort of like, I'm out of words. I thought it was a comic book character. Alien Mary, what the hell? Yeah, it does seem like some sort of creepy version of Mary. I could be wrong though. Marlian. Marlian. I could be wrong. I don't know. It could be some kind of character or something too. I have no idea. My only clue is the whole like blue head covering thing in that sort of manner seems like how people usually portray Mary.
So what Destiny, I think what you're saying here is basically you're alluding to that egalitarian societies where there's women in positions of power and women in the workforce. There's women that's helping out society. They tend to do better than societies that is just patriarchal, where it's men in legislative powers that's given rights and it's men that's enforcing the rights. That's your argument, right?
Generally speaking, yeah. Or the principles that would give rise to egalitarians would also probably produce societies that can arrange more force than the principles that would give rise to strictly patriarchal societies.
Okay, got you. The principles, whether, and one of those principles you're saying is basically like feminism. Let women in the workforce, let them in the economy, let them thrive, things like.
What do you mean, let them? let them this and let them that. What is this like let them thing? Is there some sort of like conspiracy I'm not aware of that's like has all the power and they're like letting women do stuff
like that? Let them have, just as much choice in the economy, just as much opportunity in the economy that men have.
It depends on how you define feminism, but if you're defining feminism that way as giving women more access to the same rights that men have, or in the same agency that men have, then yes, yeah.
Okay, got it. So if that's the case, then why, if we look at history, we could just go to World War I, and was there women in the military in World War? Was there women that had the same opportunities in the workforce during the time of World War I? We would have to say no, they didn't at all. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, that women didn't even have the right to vote, they didn't have the same opportunities as men in the workforce and to be in the economy like we.
Don't these people constantly say that women didn't have the right to vote only like a little bit, like longer than all men got the right to vote? like this is the point they constantly bring up, like, oh well, you can't complain that women didn't have the right to vote because not all men had the right to vote, and then it was only a few years until the women got the right to vote, so it wasn't even that long between when it was all men that got the right to vote. That's the argument that I hear constantly every time the whole like women voting thing gets brought up. But now it's when it's convenient to say the opposite, they say the opposite. It's honestly, it's I don't even know what to say about that. You obviously don't get it. Men let women exist. Of course, how could I miss that? He's letting you stream right now. Be thankful. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Let him out of their kennel, play with sticks, and run around in the park. Yeah, I don't think he's joking.
Like men are, but we still ended up winning World War I.
How were we able to continue producing the weapons that men fought with? How were we able to keep our economy running when the men went overseas to fight?
So that's so you can't point to a time in history when it was war where women didn't help. Women always helped when men went away to war.
That's not true.
Women always helped.
Women might not have necessarily had the education to work in economy.
Destiny, women always helped with societal infrastructure and the things to uphold society.
But social.
So he's arguing the opposite thing now? I'm so confused.
Men go off to war.
No. So the social infrastructure.
You can't point to a society where that didn't happen.
So he's arguing that women did have a lot to do with, like, holding down the fort at home, with all of the holding up all the infrastructure and producing all the stuff. So, why does it seem like he flip-flopped from the opposite side of the argument? Because he's not aware of the women in factories during the World Wars. The factory was already built by men. Those are women factories where women are assembled and shipped out to property owners. Now, don't let them hear that. They can get really excited and think it's going to be a real thing. They get their own personal woman.
Society that banned education would necessarily not have.
I want to give them false hope.
Women that were capable.
They're going to start asking Santa for their own woman for Christmas.
Working in factories because the only thing they could do is take care of children. You need a minimum level of education. It might have been high school or some middle school back then. Today it might be college.
To work in fact. What time are you speaking about?
Any time. For World War I, for World War II, when all of our women went to the factories to start helping with the manufacturing, when the men went overseas.
Well, to be fair, basic factory work was done by children at some point too, so I don't know if you really need like a high school education to work in a factory, unless depending on what you're doing. Like if you're doing basic, like menial labor, I don't think, like, again, children were doing that stuff at some point, so I don't think that's necessarily true. So I don't know, like, where this education thing is playing in, but I don't think that's relevant. I don't think you even need the education angle. Just the fact that they were there holding up all the infrastructure and making all the stuff is enough. They don't also have to be educated to do that. I forgot we invented women less than 2 decades earlier. I forgot that as well. Oh, your own personal woman. Oh, is that... I like the Marilyn Manson version of that song.
A less egalitarian society might not have had women that were capable of doing that.
And why were women able to work in these factories?
Someone hear your prayers. Someone that cares. I can't sing, so I'm not gonna try.
Able to work in these factories because the factories themselves was already built. You're looking at society, at patriarchal societies already being built, and then saying, well, since it's already built and we have this comfortability, well
he's doing it. I just read this one. The factory was already built by men. He's really doing it, you guys. Oh, I didn't think he was gonna actually do that. Actually. Oh, someone to do your chores. Someone who cares. That's even better. That fits better.
Then this is where women get to come in and help. Prior to, think about it, building a society with order, you're not really appealing to men. You're not appealing to women to help create this order. You're going.
What is this appealing thing? They're obsessed with this word of appealing to stuff.
To appeal to men to create this order and to establish a society from ground up. Like feminism and social.
What is this appealing to men to establish? What is this appealing? Where does that even come in? It sounds like primarily men went out and did this stuff. What is this? Nobody's asking them to do it. They did. That's what happened. What is this? Oh, they were appealed to. They weren't going to do anything. They were going to sit there and I don't know, chit-chat on local gossip until women came and started begging them to please build society. What is this I suppose rewriting of history going on here? Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely not karaoke night. Absolutely. That is not something that is definitely not happening. Appealing to is trying to force the benevolence of framing of men. Trying to force the benevolence framing of men, no pun intended. I have no idea what this guy is rambling on about. I think he probably doesn't either. Yeah, this is... He's sort of slightly making... At least he's responding or trying to respond to the conversation that is happening, but his points aren't much more relevant than the other guys. Appeal isn't to rely on men as in a given to build society, I think. 1 million subs karaoke night? No. That is no subs karaoke night. Never happening. No, not even 1 million. Won't get me to do that. Oh
and all of these other isms, they come about when a society has already been built by the patriarchy. This is the only way women start thinking, well, I think I deserve some more rights.
Even if I were to grant you all of that, you're just saying that patriarchy is a de-evolution of, or is an earlier stage of a successful society. That egalitarianism and feminism, the introduction of women into the workforce, in a place that, even if I grant you has been secured by men, is a superior society, because in every part of the world where women have joined the workforce, where women have had the ability to get educated, those societies are superior, even in the masculine ways, in terms of being able to project force across the world, are superior to the societies that remain heavily patriarchal and revoke those rights from women. And we can see this in every military conflict in the world. You yourself said it earlier that America could beat every country across the planet. We have way more rights for our women than tons of countries in the Middle East, tons of countries in Africa, probably in China and India. These are all more patriarchal societies than ours.
But in World War I, women didn't have... There were many countries where women had the same amount of rights that other countries had, and we still beat those countries. Women had the same amount of rights in Germany at the time that they had in America. They have the same amount of rights.
Even if that's true, so? And what do you mean amount? He counted up the number of some specific rights or the same level of rights? I'm confused. Amount, they had 5 over here and 5 over there, but they could have been wildly different ones, or literally the same rights. I'm confused by this amount thing in there. I have a theory he was communicating with Rachel during this. He did bring it up that she was in the chat, so that's possible. Definitely not Whitney. I am not doing a karaoke channel. That would be painful. If there was some sort of societal need to make people's ears bleed, I think I would be charitable and start a karaoke channel. But since that is not a societal need, I don't think that that's something that I should be doing. I need to capitalize on all these suggestions. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I don't think women in the Ottoman Empire. I don't think women in the Ottoman Empire had the same amount of rights as those in the United States.
So what I'm saying is the distinction between this is that, well, men enforce these rights. Men are the patriarchy.
Okay, we're back to randomly asserting stuff. Okay, sure.
You can't have a like, I get what you're saying. You're saying like, well, these patriarchal societies, you're using patriarchy as like the people in positions of power, but then you're saying, well, egalitarian societies tend to be a little bit better at enforcing these rights and upholding rights because they're allowing women in these certain positions, but they're not doing any enforcement is what I'm saying. They're not
what?
enforcing anything. Men are still enforcing it.
I understand what you're saying. But you're taking anything in a vacuum. If I were to ask you what kills somebody, a gun or a bullet, like there's no answer there.
Hey, I hear my son waking up. I got to go check.
Oh, okay. I think we got one of your people that came in. They sent in a $50 super chat. I'll go ahead and let you go.
Hey, good to talk to you guys. Let me go check on him, man. All right, I'll be in chat.
All right, cool. Let me go ahead and let you out. And anyone else that wants to come on up, ask me some questions, or Destiny, come on up. So, Taylor, you sent in a $50 super chat. You said, backstage, blah, blah, rights equals force is the same thing as might makes right. Cooley argues like a confused chat GPT bot. All right, cool. I like that. So you're up.
Hello?
So 1 second. Is your camera on or no?
My camera's off. Here, hang on 1 second. I was using OBS a second ago. Let me turn that off.
All good.
And let's see if it works.
It's a societal need now. Lies. His strongest play at this point would be egalitarianism is based on patriarchy allowing it, but the next question would be why? Enforcing rights in an egalitarian society seems like there's a contradiction there.
Nope. Hang on.
Just to finish my analogy earlier, what I was saying is that, like, if you say, like, does a gun or a bullet kill somebody? Like, well, the answer is you need both, right? I'm saying that one is way better with the other, and then
if the society is egalitarian, why would you need someone to enforce the rights? It's already egalitarian. I don't know. I could still, I could see how you could still have that, because, I mean, if you already have something, if in order to upkeep it, you still do require some level of force as a backup for the naughties. Like, it's never for something to stay a certain way. I don't think it's like a one and done, and now it's never gonna turn back. I could see how you could still need someone to enforce the rights, but again, as the physical part of it is a like rare backup situation.
And when these two things combine, you create something, like a thing emerges from the whole that's superior to any of the underlying parts. And you can say, well, a bullet doesn't do anything if you don't have a gun first. And you could beat somebody up with a gun. Like, even if you had no bullets, a gun is still better than nothing because you could smash them over the head with it. But a gun and a bullet together...
Pistol whip somebody.
Right, sure, yeah. But a gun and a bullet together produce something when you bring these two things together, which is, I would argue, is a more egalitarian society.
Maybe, but the way he put it was really weird. Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. that was odd.
Seems to produce something that is greater than just somebody that has more guns but no bullets, you know?
Yeah, and the thing, when you were arguing that with Kid Dreams, I think what he was essentially saying, and he was basically saying, well, that doesn't negate the fact that men are going to be the majority in the military. What is true is that well, women in certain positions in helping out society, I don't think that that's a bad thing.
I agree with you.
I don't think that anybody think that that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I agree with you and I understand this, but what I'm saying is that, like, if I could tell you right now, I was to challenge you, I want you to be safe, I'm sorry, you need to survive, and you can pick 100 people, but you can only choose one adjective to describe the type of people that you want to protect you. You're never saying men. That's not going to be, there's a million other things that you would pick before men in that society, right? You would pick, you'd say
You
special.
said protect?
Yeah, to protect you. You'd never say men, because that, who knows what you might draw there on a one. You might say young people would probably be better than men if you do a whole median. I don't know. Would I rather have like a 65-year-old man or a 25-year-old female? Right?
Saying.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying that, like, even though men might be like the enforcer class, it's a very, very, very selective group of men. You know,
correct. And this is why we say a collection of men that are capable to enforce the rights. That's what Wicked Dreams was saying. He says that men that are capable. So he's still speaking about specific men, not, men that aren't capable. They would still be better to enforce rights and to protect you than women that are capable.
Well, but
What? Sorry, what? If you already say that they are capable, that's already like saying that they are doing the job. So how can you say somebody that isn't capable is better than somebody that is capable? That's literally doesn't make any sense. That's not. I feel dumber for having listened to this, honestly. Oh man. A Death Knot cult could work. Everyone takes the Death Knot name. I mean, if it's only names matching, that could be like a fun club thing. It doesn't have to be a cult. But redefinition. Death Knot knows. Death Knot. Oh, that's, yeah, I gotta double it up. Oh, Death Note. That is a good one. That is clever. I like that. I don't know. It's not necessarily like, I think it takes. I think a cult would be a lot more than like coming up with fun matching usernames. Cult sounds a little extreme. I mean,
for example, I would say
One second. Real quick.
So Taylor, you're up here.
Yeah, is there a way
I
you
got
can
no
just pull
camera,
up, like, a placeholder instead of my camera? I don't think my camera's gonna work. Is
You
there a way that
know,
you can just,
I mean, you can just let me go ahead and do this. Hold up. Let's try this.
we can find an OBS, something about
Source
backstage.
hidden to show change non-video setting. Okay, 1 second here. Show non-video participant. All right. All right. So now we got you up, and now you can turn on your camera if you want.
Let's see if it works this time. I really don't think it's gonna work. I have a dog shit webcam, and I'm pretty sure that it's not gonna.
All right, fair enough. You could just, that's fine, man. You sent in the $50. I'll go ahead and honor you, and you could ask a question.
I appreciate it. Also, hi, Destiny. Real quick, Cooley. You were just saying, correct me if I'm wrong, that a
what kind of name is this T parentheses dollar sign? Is that like a? I don't get it. Maybe it's the beginning of something. There's more to it at some point, but what's with it? Yeah, I don't get it. That is not what Wicked Kid Dreams was saying. He wasn't saying anything. I don't know how to spell that user. Yeah, I mean, he was really. This guy was being very charitable with. Oh, well, he was saying this and this and that. Yeah, I agree absolutely. That was. He was saying nothing of the sort. Def not a cult. Oh no. I mean, yes. Wait, what? I like the whole negative, like the username is a negation of the thing, but it does get confusing sometimes. I was listening for a bit, and this reminds me of a vid Lindy Beige made. I don't know who that is. About how powerful men in history didn't rule for men, and this is a modern collectivistic repainting of motivations of history. It was mainly to debunk feminists. It's an old video. Turns out conservatives have taken their place for being gender obsessed today. Yeah, that is a good observation. It's T dollar. Oh, okay. I mean, what's the parenthesis for then? If that's, I mean, why not just have T dollar sign? Why not remove the parenthesis then? Men are so powerful they need men's rights activists so they can stop dying younger and in larger numbers. Ouch. Okay. I thought you had some kind of secret knowledge there for a minute. It's like, I don't get it. I want to know.
That a less capable man is ultimately more capable than a capable female for enforcing rights.
There is a rapper called Ty $, I think, or something like that.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah, so I'll give an example.
Is that right? Is it Ty? I think it's like Ty $.
I'm not saying all, right? If you can go to the extreme and say, well, a man in a wheelchair that's on dialysis is probably not going to be good enforcing anything or protecting someone than a woman, right?
But let's say, okay,
so I can get to the specific if you want me to.
I was curious, would you entertain a hypothetical?
Oh yeah, it is Ty $, but it's dollar sign with a S is like the dollar. Yeah. He's a definite whisperer for the cult. Rap karaoke night. Oh my goodness, this is getting worse and worse, y'all. His nameplate says Taylor something. I think the avatar takes your initials. That makes sense. So it's probably like Taylor and then it's shrilling. It's this super chatted 50. That's the parenthesis thing. It must have moved it somehow.
I've asked you a hypothetical question. Situation.
Yeah, man. You spent the money to come on up. Go ahead, man.
So let's say that you are, let's say it's a home intrusion thing, right? You wake up, there's a person in your house that has a gun. Let's just say for the sake of the hypothetical, you don't own a gun. You call the cops. A cop shows up. It's a female cop. Your neighbor has also shown up. They're unarmed, but it's a man, and he works out. He can bench, but he doesn't have a gun. The intruder has a gun. The female cop has a gun. Your neighbor, who can bench, is a male.
Doesn't have a gun.
Who would you rather have protecting you?
I would have the person with the gun.
Okay.
Yeah. But what does this prove? You want
to... Okay, conversation over. So he would rather have the woman protecting him with the firearm. Okay, I mean... at least he was honest.
Elaborate on your argument.
So.
Does this really need an elaboration? This seems like it's okay. I mean, okay.
So a properly equipped and capable female is ultimately more capable in that situation of preserving your rights to property.
Well, with the gun that a man created,
Not this again. I thought we covered this like man-created thing. What does that have to do with anything? Even if historically that was true, what does that have to do with anything currently? Sorry, I've been talking too much. Probably should get a drink of water here in a minute. Oh, hello. I like that secret cult sign. That is a cute one. I do like that one. I think I've seen Naz use that a few times before. I do like it. It's cute. That is a cute one. What is that person doing in your house long enough for the cops and your neighbor to show up? Don't ask questions. Also, why is your neighbor showing up at your house in the middle of the night? They were gonna have, special fun time with the guy that bench presses a lot. You know what? It's 2025, and we can't judge. That is not to be judged. By that logic, the man has to be subservient to the designer of the gun. I bet this guy's a tech bro. Men grant women guns. We're gonna get forced doctrine at quantum levels soon. Oh, I do like that one. It's cute. I like the little emoji. We can keep it. We can keep the emoji. It's cute. Men created banks, bank robbers, and law enforcement. Therefore, men are men. The neighbor and him were bench pressing. Sure, bench pressing. That's what they were doing in the middle of the night. Nothing else inappropriate or anything. What if I need to borrow some sugar at 2 a.m.? Where else am I supposed to go if not my neighbor? Yes, you gotta get that sugar. He's gonna give you some sugar at 2 in the morning. Oh, look at your little cutie.
Yeah.
With a gun that a society created. Holy shit.
No, with a gun that men created, yeah. But a society, you can only have a society again within an ordered community. And who creates order? There's going to be men that create order, right?
Well, it sounds like in this example, it's the lady cop with the gun that is going to help create order.
So therefore, I answered your question perfectly, but it doesn't map on to refute any of my claims. I said,
what? What is this? Answered the question perfectly. He answered it honestly, but what is this like? Oh, it doesn't map to refute any of my claims. I feel like this is another case of I don't want to use the word just, but just saying words. Just. He's just saying words. It's like.
Yeah, I'll take the chick with the gun to protect the home invasion rather than the neighbor across the street without the gun. Yeah, if I had to choose, give me that chick with the gun and spray everybody. The only reason why the chick has the gun is because men created the gun. If we take men away,
just to be clear, men didn't
create
the gun. Society created the gun, right?
Certain men.
So that society empowered and created and allowed to do education and everything, right? It's society that created
Let's do that argument.
Sure.
And who created a society?
Women, because they birth children? I mean, what do you mean? I mean, it depends on how reductive you want to be.
No, you got to reduce it to the lowest denominator.
The lowest denominator would be women that give birth to children.
Is our current society cool? Is our current society run by exclusively men? Do we only have male senators? Do we only have male congressmen? Do we only have
let me answer let me answer Destiny's questions first, and I'll get to yours. So a society is an aggregate of people. A society is an aggregate of people in an ordered community. Ordered is the key word, right? So you can't have a society without order. You can have a community and it can be chaos. So my standpoint is, well, who creates the order? It's men that create order.
Well, in this example, it's the woman cop that created order. I'm confused why he perfectly answered that question, and now he's trying to say something that doesn't align with the answer. This makes no sense. And what is this like? Oh, well, men created the guns at some point. Okay, well, at some point, those men had to be birthed by a woman, and since women give birth, then there could be no men without women. So, okay.
Because when things go wrong, listen.
It's the Grippus trilemma. Infinite regression. I had to.
If you have this right or this law or you have a rule, if people don't follow the rules, well, there needs to be consequences if you don't follow the rules. And men are the only ones that can put consequences on people that don't.
That's not true. There could be all kinds of consequences besides physical force. Yeah, no shaming. I'm not perfectly convinced. The lady cop only creates the fault order. It's not her fault, but she's only a woman. No, women don't create society. You have to reduce it to men. If you don't, you're not reducing it right. The question next is, who created men? Oh, way ahead of me. He's buying into phallocentrism, and that's what feminists are supposed to be the ones believing that stuff. Gender-obsessed conservatism. He's gonna reduce it to everything came from the bowls. Phallogocentrism. Dogs created man. They needed a best friend. Aww.
don't follow the rules.
Okay,
and it's gonna be a collection of men to put those consequences. It's not gonna be a collection of women to put those consequences on other men.
What is this collection? I think he means collective, because that's what Wilson always says. He says collective of, which is very like commie coded. I don't know what it is with this like collective this and collective that. It's very, very commie, but okay.
And now they can put those consequences on other women, right? A lot of chicks get together. Yeah, they can put those consequences on other women, but they can't put those consequences on other men. The men would just destroy the woman, right?
Yes, they can. Generally, they don't go out swinging if they're like society tends to shame and exclude people from stuff. And when that happens, that person tends to not come out and try to like kill them or something. That's not how things generally work.
Destroy the women.
And in the rare cases that does happen, then people can collectivize, since we're all commies here today, and sort of use force together against the few people that don't, go about their life peacefully. And if they really have to use force as a consequence, they can take like a bunch of people together, even if they're puny little women without guns, against like the one or two people that are being naughty, and sort of deal with that way. But we do have guns, so why do we even have to discuss the possibility of not having them? We do have them. They exist. Everybody has them. Men and women have them. That's the reality of today's world.
So if you're speaking about real quick, if you're
at least in America, not so much in other countries, but here where we still have some rights.
Speaking about, if you're referring to a society, you're referring to a patriarchy. You're affirming the patriarchy.
Even a patriarchy isn't exclusively made up of male enforcers, though. Like even if we're
no one said exclusively.
Even if we're looking at,
they did try to say monopoly, which means exclusively.
A traditional like conservative nuclear family in the home, if that home is that society, this little micro society.
Oh my goodness. Phallocentrism is the idea that logic order comes exclusively from men and they use it for control. Okay. I've never heard of that before. Does the phallo have anything to do with phallus? And this is just right-wing critical gender theory. It does kind of seem like it. Men impregnated the woman who birthed the man who impregnated the woman who birthed the man who impregnated the woman who birthed the man who graciously let women out of their cages for walks and play. Although, interestingly enough, if society, this is another example I hear a lot, like say there's an apocalypse or something and all the men are gone or all the women are gone, which gender is more likely to survive? If all the women are gone, society and humanity is done for. Like, no chance. Because how are you going to have children? You can't. Now, if all the men were to disappear, we still have sperm banks. So women could still birth more children and from there restart society. So if you really think about the current day reality, if all men were to disappear, humanity would end with that generation. Like, that would be it. They would eventually die off, probably sooner than later because of hopelessness or whatever. And if it was only women that were left, then we actually have a chance. It's not going to be easy, but there is a chance for us to carry on as human beings. It's funny to see these conservatives, men rights activist types buy into it. Fists across America. Before we had guns, we had swords. Before we had clubs. And before that, we had friends. Someone might be pregnant during this scenario. That too. But also the sperm banks. If there is an apocalypse, the most likely gender to survive is cockroaches. That's not a gender. Silly. Are you saying men can't get pregnant? Yes. I don't like your cult plot. Sorry. It's a cult. You don't have to like it. That's the cult part of it. Like, if whether you like it or not, we're all in it together now. Yes, cockroach is not a gender. I am saying that. I am saying all the things. Okay. All right.
A lot of the enforcement of rule and law is carried out by the mother. Like, it's not like the dad
it's
is
under the male's authority.
The mom is there's plenty of kids who had way more discipline given to them by their mother than their father, and there's a spectrum, and other kids will disagree and they'll say, oh no, it was wait till dad gets home, wait till dad gets home. But a lot of kids, fuck that. Mom wasn't gonna wait until dad gets home. A lot of kids had the rules enforced by their mother directly. Like, there's not in every society, whether it's patriarchal.
And you know what? I'm glad that you.
And matriarchies aren't exclusively enforced by women. No matter the society, it's always ultimately enforced by cooperation between both genders of our species. We don't. Okay. It's not like you don't find any pockets of only male societies. You don't find any pockets of only female societies.
And I'm not saying that
men and women working in tandem and communicating.
I got it. I wanted you to land your plane. I think you're straw man in my position. I'm not saying that it's only men. I'm saying that it's going to be the majority of men.
Just screamed out when you accused someone else of straw manning.
You did straw man, because once again, it's going to be the majority of men, a collection of men to.
He keeps saying collection when I think he's meaning to say collective, and for some reason, it's the funniest thing. I can't simply overlook it. It's like he's trying to sound so smart by using all of these words, but he keeps saying collection as if like a collection of little like soldier figurines or something, toys, like little toy soldiers, a collection of toy soldiers. Not like a collective of people. Those are cute. I did like those. Collect them all. Women. I can't say that on YouTube. You gotta read that one yourself.
Enforce rules and put consequences to enforce rules.
I've already been very, very naughty with my words today. That might be a step that YouTube might really not like me saying.
Rules and laws and put consequences on other people. Right, yeah, a majority is not going to be a majority of women and a small amount of men. That's just not going to happen. So also, let's just use your argument. You brung up
what is this like? Oh, that's not going to happen. Okay, well, whatever he's saying is not going to happen either. So if none of this stuff is going to happen, and what's going to happen is what we currently have, we don't currently have whatever it is that he's saying the hypotheticals might be or whatever. This is like. Okay, I mean, that's not going to happen. Okay. It's way more likely that whatever crazy hypotheticals that these people are proposing, way more likely for those to not happen.
Well, mothers.
I guess way less likely for them to happen, whichever way you want to say it.
Rules let me enforced in a single mother household?
I'm going to answer that. Okay. But just allow me a moment, right?
I'm not going to answer it.
I'm going to answer it. You just said that. Is laws and rules, can laws and rules be enforced under single mother households? Mm-hmm. My answer is yes, that is true. It's because it's children. Women are still, generally speaking, they're going to be stronger than their children. Now, when the kids start getting a little older, he has the true strength to rebel. Now, kids can rebel.
Yeah, I think a teenage boy is generally stronger than their mom.
As well, but if they rebel when they're 5 years old, 8 years old, mommy smack them, they can't really do anything. So, it's force.
What is this force thing? What is this mommy smack them? I don't think most people use those sorts of punishments anymore. This like smacking thing, that's not generally acceptable today. So I don't know what this like smacking the kids thing is. Because that's generally not how things go today.
Mother, let me just finish. The mother is using force. Now, if we extrapolate your example out, we see the negative effects of single mother households. Single mother households leads to juvenile delinquents and a lot of degeneracy.
Sure, if they're beating their child. Or like a lot of times it's when single mothers tend to be, it tends to be more common that they are in poverty with the single income and stuff like that. And generally choosing professions that earn less than men do. So yeah, I mean, there's other factors here, but sure, if they're beating the kid, then yeah, it's likely going to be dysfunctional. But that's, kids don't generally get beat anymore, so what? This is weird.
That we see on this planet. Most of the gang violence comes from homes that was deprived
That are lower income.
of male enforcement. It came from single mother homes, right? So
Lower income.
what you're saying is, it does not negate my position. It does not negate the argument. You're straw manning it. It's very clear. I'll say it again real quick for you, Taylor. I'm not saying that it has to be majority of males. A majority. I'm not saying that it's only males. I'm saying that it has to be a majority of.
Again, they did at some point say monopoly. Hello, Professor Hizzle. Welcome back. Oh yeah, we're doing the those little emojis now. I gotta. I guess I can't really do it now, but whenever we do get enough subs, I'm gonna start adding emojis to the channel. I think we can do it now in Discord. So if anybody has ideas for emojis we can add to Discord, I guess post in a Discord, and we'll add them to the like Discord server emojis. I do like these. These are cute. All right.
Males to enforce rights and laws and also put consequences on other people. That is a patriarchy. You can't have a society without order. If you want some order, this is why there's not really order in single mother homes. They're juvenile delinquents. They always rebelling. There's more order in a nuclear family. And also, let's just say, I'll give you this statistic. Single father homes do just as good as two-parent households, and they do better than single mother homes. You know why?
Do you have a source for that?
I can
Is that per capita or overall?
pull it up if you.
Also, the sample size for that is way smaller than the single mothers, and they also tend to earn more.
But yeah,
That's totally, yeah. I mean, I could pull it up. I could pull it up if you want to, but just let me land my plane, right? So within this, you'll see a clear difference how a man can put his son in place until, when the son is even 18. What? He can still put his son in place. He can still enforce laws and rules by.
I think if kids are raised right, you don't have to physically do anything to them and they stay respectful. You don't have to ever raise a hand to them, and if you raise them right, I think they can generally be come out as good kids that respect the parents and generally don't get in trouble. Not it's not guaranteed. You can always get a kid randomly that sort of comes out with a certain kind of personality that won't listen or whatever. That does happen. Sometimes you can have the most perfect parents and they still get a really naughty child. But generally speaking, if you raise them well without beating them, they tend to come out okay. And when you do start putting your hands on them, that's when they tend to come out not okay and start rebelling and run all kinds of problems. So I don't know where he's getting this information, but that seems completely wrong to me. That somehow, because parents can physically control their children and physically hurt them, that's why they come out better. That seems the opposite of what's true. He's not going to pull it up. Just bring up stats without evidence. Yeah, that's also something that Wilson does, but of course, if someone else has stats, he demands to know exactly where and if the study is this or that, but he tosses out things like this all the time and never brings up evidence either.
Putting consequences.
So I am seeing a lot of like Timu Wilson's basically copying a lot of his arguments and sort of tossing them out randomly, which is what this looks like too.
On his son. A mother, listen, a mother cannot, generally speaking, mothers are not going to be physically capable of enforcing any rights or laws unless the child complies to it once the child is like 16 years old.
I feel like the older a child gets, the more likely they are to rebel against their father instead of their mother for that specific reason, because they feel more, a son might feel more justified to physically challenge his father, but he's never going to try to physically challenge his mother, because we don't only run on might makes right. That's not how that works. You don't obey your mother because...
Let me guess, he's going to start saying, oh, I didn't say it makes right. I'm just saying that it only makes, everybody, it makes. Which is stupid. Because we're talking about rights, which is like, we ought to treat people a certain way. That's something else to cover in the video. I gotta stop saying that because I really want to, like, I am more motivated. Today, I am more motivated than ever to finally get this thing edited and pushed out, because a lot of stuff is covered in there as well. That, like, this sort of like, oh, it doesn't make right. It's so dumb. It's that verbal judo high level debate tactics. Again, saying rights don't exist isn't a moral claim, not a descriptive, is a moral claim, not a descriptive claim. Yeah, this whole like, oh, it only makes, I guarantee he's about to say something like that.
Oh man,
physically overpower you. You obey your mother because you love her and she loves you, and ultimately, especially if you're living in their house, you're dependent on them for shelter. You're dependent on them for your entire life. You're not obeying your parents because they could beat you to a bloody pulp if you stepped out of line. You're obeying them because there is a social contract within a family of we all take care of each other and blah 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 blah.
Okay, so here's the part where you straw man my argument. I'm not saying that might makes right. I'm saying that might makes, whether if it's right or wrong, might still makes. And if we're speaking about order, then men, a collection of men, I would say that is the patriarchy. That's where the true power lies. It makes. You can't have a society without order and males, men in positions of...
What did I say? Like a book. Children don't sign social contract. The color is jacked up on energy drinks.
Of enforcement actually create the order.
Actually.
That's what I'm saying. You haven't refuted it. You're actually proving it.
Actually.
The more you speak. Like the single mother household, you proved my point. You said something else as well. You had another example. What was the other example you had? Besides the mother living alone, what was the other one?
I don't remember the other example. I think that the other example was just a two-parent household where the son may rebel against the father physically, but he's less likely to rebel against the mother physically, which is interesting because he's more likely to be able to overpower the mother physically, but he's less likely to rebel against her physically.
You know why? Because the child knows that it's going to be consequences if he rebels against the mother and the father is...
the rules, not because the rules could physically overpower him, but because he knows that if he follows the rules,
okay. You have any kids?
Exist in a more cohesive way. The order is preserved by the order isn't just preserved by the people enforcing the rules. The order is preserved.
You don't have to have kids. This is common sense. Yeah. This whole like, oh well, kids need to be kept in line with force is completely outdated, and we know better now. Pretty sure the first time watching this debate, you were also getting annoyed with him repeating "might makes" the whole debate. I would not. I would not be surprised.
By the people who are following the rules, and when what gives the rule legitimacy is that when the rule is followed, all parts.
I really hate that argument. They all repeat it, and it doesn't make sense. It never makes sense.
Parties benefit. Not
Okay.
because it's not legitimate, because if it's not followed, the enforcers will overpower the followers and blah, 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 blah. No, the rule is legitimate if, when it is followed, all parties benefit. That's how you build a society.
Okay. So, Taylor, are you responsible of children?
No.
Okay, I'm responsible of many children.
I feel bad for the children. If that's how they're kept in line, is with physical force, I really feel bad for them.
That's
so if you were responsible of children, or even if you can think back in your younger years, you would know that children, they have a natural inclination to just be rebellious and do things. Like, you tell a kid something, just the fact that you told them no, they have this forced to be like, oh, I'm going to do it anyway.
Sure, there are certain stages of development where kids tend to be rebellious, but how far that goes, it all depends on what kind of relationship you have with them. If you have a bad relationship where you're beating them, they're probably way more likely to be more rebellious and not want to listen to you at all. But if you tend to build a relationship of mutual respect, they are more likely to sort of grow out of that and be responsible and, control themselves better.
And when children rebel from the parents, one of the ways to get them not to rebel, oh, don't touch the stove, it's hot. The child touches the stove because the force from the heat, now he knows I'm not going to touch that stove anymore. So even if we reduce,
what does this have to do with anything?
It down to the, smallest.
All this reducing down, if you reduce it down, we're always reducing down to something and throwing away everything relevant. And of course, if you reduce anything down to anything and throw away everything else that makes it relevant to reality whatsoever, then sure, you can reduce anything down to anything in any way that you want by removing whatever it is that you want. That's not an argument. That makes no sense. Oh my goodness. If might makes, then men don't have a right to rule. It's merely circumstantial. He was particularly egregious with the might makes, thinking back on it. Yeah, that's not surprising at all. If your kid is stronger than you, well, might makes. So they're the captain now. Reductio, bro. Yeah, like what is this supposed to mean? Because a lot of times kids are, like, especially when they grow up to be teenagers, they are stronger than dads. Like, it's not uncommon for teenagers to be stronger than their dad. Boys, obviously. Force doctrine at the quantum level, I'm calling it now. I mean, all we have to do is keep reducing things down further and further.
Thing. The force from heat, you feel it once, that burnt, I'm not going to touch that stove again. The child acts up, they get popped, I'm not going to act up again. You get what I'm saying? And this is not, I'm not saying that hitting kids is a right thing. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that force itself, I'm demonstrating, I'm giving.
It does seem like that's what he's saying. Like, kids are bad, they rebel, and that's how you keep them in line. That's what he's been arguing for this whole time. It's obviously demented, but that's what he's been saying. So what is this, like, I'm not saying you should? Like, what are you saying? At the subatomic particle level, men's neutrons are stronger than women's neutrons. Cute.
A description of force. Force itself puts consequences on people that therefore they're less likely to do the things that we say is bad. The more likely to do the things that we say is good, because then we reward them for the good consequences.
So you reward them for the good and you hit them for the bad? But you're not saying to hit them? So, what?
Purely
for the good actions.
Laws by force don't last as long as societies whose laws are given legitimacy by the benefit to all parties. I think that Destiny, you have kids, weigh in.
Hopefully only one.
Okay. Well, Taylor, if that's all you have, man, I appreciate the questions, man. I really do. I guess I'll bring up someone else if they sent in any cash. If not, we got Kevin back here. So we got Kevin and TJ.
Just a heads up, I think after this one I have to take off too. So, but I can
okay, yeah, I appreciate you for staying in, Destiny. Kevin and TJ, I don't see any super chats from you guys, so unfortunately, man, you can't come in unless you send in a $50 super chat because you're not a member. But and you can thank Destiny for this too.
Yeah, thanks, Destiny. Destiny, when are you gonna play something that's not Final Fantasy?
Ask your mom. Got him.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, Destiny, I don't think we have any more people coming up. I'll get to the super chats myself.
Sure.
But I do appreciate you for moderating the debate. And would you like to moderate another debate? And we can do another 2 against 1.
Sure. I mean, if you just message me and I can generally do it. Yeah. I guess I guess as a final question, kind of riffing off what the last caller said, if you had a society and in one society you have on average slightly more powerful men, and then in the other society you have slightly less powerful men, but in the second society with the slightly less powerful men, you are all more like socially developed. So you have like a society with higher levels of technology and everything else. And
gotta move myself around with this sort of style of, I suppose, layout. Bad. What's bad outside of what might makes? How does someone who's forced to teach what's right and wrong if there are no rights? There's a lot of, honestly, I'm as confused about what I don't know if he is more confused or I'm more confused about what he's trying to say. This coolie. Teleportation. What?
more rights doled out to women so that they can get educated and participate in your economy. Like, which society is going to be a more powerful, like literally can project more force society? The one with the stronger men or the one with the stronger institutions and social structures?
I think that the one with that has, not that just has, but the society that knows their duties and they actually adhere to their duties. So if it's a society where women are in the workforce and stuff like that, but they don't actually adhere to, like, they're in certain jobs, but they take up all the jobs where it's they're not in science, technology, engineering, or math. They're not in STEM. They're just doing secretary work. There's some nurses and stuff like that, but they're not really building and maintaining the infrastructure or the military.
Some nurses and stuff like that. Nurses? Who needs nurses, right? Right, men? Who needs nurses? Psh, nurses. That's useless. Secretaries and nurses and whatever, like, we don't need those. It doesn't matter. Like, if you get, hurt on the job, that's too bad. We don't need nurses or anything. It's kind of whatever, unnecessary. Why? Oh, hello, welcome back. Why is Destiny and no Fugazee? I think Destiny was hosting this one. No offense to Fugazee, but he has like 2% of Destiny's viewers. Yeah, he was hosting a debate between this guy and this chick called Tilly. They were doing a force doctrine debate, and honestly, Tilly smoked him. But she couldn't stick around for the Q&A, so now it's Destiny and Cooley. Good show, chill time as always. Good space away from outrage channels. You got the good thing going. Oh, I appreciate that. It's always nice to have you and everybody else too. I got some really good people here. I appreciate you all as well.
I think that society versus a society where there's women that know their role, like they're in certain roles as far as, one, they're not aborting their children, right? They know their role. They're going to have children. So therefore, they're having more children, where then it's a higher probability that there's going to be higher IQ people within the society to invent new things. If they're having more children, it's a higher probability that it would be more people in the military. So I would actually say that the society, I know I'm kind of switching it because you tried to put me in a hole there. I would say that the society that adheres to a patriarchy and a society that where women have obligations and duties for societies. And when I'm saying that obligations and duties, particularly in areas where it's nurturing, giving birth, and also being a helpmate to the male. Nurses is fine. Secretary work is fine. And
I thought he just shrugged off nurses, but now we do need nurses, and it's a duty. Not only do we, not only should we have nurses, but it's a duty to be a nurse now. Not what he wasn't kidding about flipping things around or whatever. That really does. That is completely opposite of what he was saying earlier. And admittedly, it is very hard to follow what he's saying at all, because I don't know if he knows where he's going with this. But that is completely opposite of what he said earlier. He acknowledged he had to shift one once they cornered him. Yeah, I mean, that's a hell of a shift. This is completely opposite of what he was saying. Oopsie.
maybe even in certain supportive roles in the military, like if you want to get some women to come around and be the cleanup crew, not in a war, but like if people are in training, they want to come around and be the cleanup crew for the men in military and training, totally fine. I think that'll help too. So
what does he mean, be the cleanup crew? Like mopping the floor, or getting the rest of the bad guys with the guns or whatever? Like, what do we mean cleanup? Because in a war, cleanup crew can mean, it could be like a euphemism for, doing actual hurting people. So I don't know what he means by cleanup, like mopping the floor or something. Is that okay? Mopping the battlefield. Picking up the trash. He's being bad faith on purpose. Means cleaning around the base for the male soldiers. That's probably the case. I think you're probably right about that.
I do think to truly, I'm sorry, 30 seconds. To truly answer your
30 more seconds of this? I don't know if I can do 30 more seconds of this
question. I am not one of those people that is like, women are useless. No, I think that men and women are better together. And I think that a society where men and women are working together, but it's gender role specific, and it's the roles that adheres to the biological propensities to give us advantages. I think that's
propensities. Either I'm uneducated and that's like a new word for me, or that's not a word.
It's a good thing. Because if women are appealing to things that is not a biological propensity to give.
What is propensity? I'm confused. I could be stupid. That could be possible. It's possible that I simply don't know this propensity word, but I've never heard that before.
Advantages where they really don't want to have any children and stuff like that, then we're not going to do.
I have to know. Is propensity a word? It could be. It really could be. I don't know that. It's new for me for sure. That is a word. Propensity, it means a natural inclination or tendency to behave in a particular way. Propensities. That is too big of a word for me. I'm not smart enough for this debate.
Better than the countries that are.
Sure. So I guess I understand the theory of what you're saying, but then I guess my question is why does all of history and all the features of the world today disagree with you? The most successful societies are the ones where women are bearing the least amount of children. The most powerful societies are the ones where women are working in science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Like everything that you just said was an important virtue. These are all...
Deafest propensity of saying just... I kept saying propensity. I don't know. That sounded weird to me. Apparently it's a real word and he's using it right. I'm not smart enough for this debate. All of these big words, it's simply out of my league.
Features of the lowest of societies, and it seems the ones that are working contrary to your idealized virtues are all outperforming the other ones. So how does that work, or how do you factor that in?
Yeah, you know why? Because what you're so basically certain societies, like, you know, that put it like this. In the West right now, we're in a population crisis. And we actually have to allow immigrants in because women don't want to have children. They want to abort their children. So I see what you're saying, but
like all women, what is this generalization?
It's putting it in a box basically, because if there's a nation and women are involved too, but they're adhering to their duties that
Name one example nation like this. What's one example country like this that you think is performing well, though? Because every successful country has trended more towards egalitarian rule. All of them.
Got you. So I'll answer the question. The only reason why they're trending towards more of an egalitarian role is because the country has already been built, right? So these ideas of socialism and feminism and things like this, these isms that's rooted into egalitarian.
Okay, you can have egalitarianism without having socialism.
They only now came about within the last, few hundred years.
Sure. Let's say that.
Does he mean like isms in general? I mean, there's all kinds of isms. I don't know why it's those two specifically.
Because these countries have already been built.
Let's say that I grant every single thing you're saying. Who's stronger, a 10-year-old male or a 20-year-old male?
A 20-year-old male.
Okay, but the 20-year-old male was built theoretically by the 10-year-old, right? Why can't we just see egalitarian societies as the next stage of evolution of a superior society?
You mean evolving?
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, when I answered how I answered your first question, it actually, we would be agreeing to a degree, but not for feminism. So here.
Feminism. Okay, I think I'm starting to understand why I don't understand some of these words, because he says things so weird. Feminism. I've never heard anybody say words like he's saying words. Feminism. Feminism, that is definitely not how I personally speak, so that must be what's throwing me off, because a lot of these words are like normal words, but he's like putting the accent on the wrong part of the word, and it's really confusing me.
Here's my standpoint. If there's a nation that women are involved and they have these roles and duties in society, and these roles and duties is appealing to their biological...
Appelling. What is appelling? Like appelling. I don't know. I can't judge too much because I mispronounce things all the time. But this is a serious pattern here that is... Actually, I agree with you, but I'm still right. Yeah, that's...
propensities that can give the society advantages, then that's a good thing and we would see good outcomes. Currently in the West, women aren't adhering to their biological propensity.
Adhering. Okay, yeah, okay, I think it's like adhering to, but he's saying adhering. I don't understand why all of these words are so wrong. Like, is this on purpose to throw people off, or what is this? What is this about?
Entities that can give the country an advantage because we are below replacement level for our population. We need to have more babies.
Our population, okay. Our population is below replacement levels.
It's supposed to be 2.7 babies per woman, but it's currently only at 1.6 babies per woman. So we need immigrants in here.
Let's say organize all the countries on the planet by birth rate then.
Per woman, 0.7 babies per population. We need to have more babies. It's supposed to be 2.7 babies per woman, but it's currently only at 1.6 babies per woman. So we need immigrants in here.
So let's say organize all the countries on the planet by birth rate then. Are you saying that the countries with the highest birth rates are better than the countries with the lower birth rates?
No, you're just using one metric of birth rate.
Well, because that's one of the metrics you brought up.
No, listen, Destiny. Let's just say if we just bring it back to World War One?
Apparently, the 2.7 is not. It says here it's supposed to be 2.1 children per woman in developed nations. It's the universally accepted standard, which is much closer to the 1.6. It's still high, like what it should be is still higher, but it's not like as high as 2.7. That's more than a whole point off. In developing countries where infant mortality is higher, it can be 2.3 to 3.4, but for the West, it's 2.1 as a standard. Yeah, it's developed versus undeveloped countries. It's very different, apparently, because of the mortality rate for infants. Feminism for shizzle. He's adding a little sauce. Oh, the sauce is confusing me. It's sophistry. He thinks the tone changes the meaning of the word. Maths. Well, maths is like a British thing to say. They say maths. Well, not only British. It's also a lot of the world that speaks English as a non-native language. They also say maths normally, unless they specifically learned English, American English. But I have heard a lot of foreigners also say maths, which makes sense logically because everything else is plural too, like physics is plural, but it doesn't sound right. It's too many weird sort of sounds together in one spot.
Why were we able to win World War One and women weren't liberated like
because
they were now?
We mobilized a higher section of our society because we were more egalitarian than the other societies. That was part of it. We weren't fighting on some level of racial superiority. We weren't necessarily as discriminatory against women as the Ottomans were.
The Germans had women working too.
I mean, there are other things
the French had women working too.
There are other things that factor into whether a country is successful. But what was better? The United States was more powerful. The United States in the 1900s, the early 1900s, or the United States now?
So once again, you're just moving the goalposts. Let's stick with exactly. Let's stick with exactly what you said
in the 1920s compared to the rest of the world, or in the 2020s compared to the rest of the world.
Okay, let's stick with just what you said because now you're asking a question on top of that. So let's stick with what you said. Your argument, I'm just going to repeat it back so I'm not straw manning it, right? Okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. So your argument is very simple. Which societies would do better? A society where it's, just patriarchal, it's men in positions of power, it's men in the military, they're not really utilizing women. Rarely at all. They're not really it's not egalitarian.
Wait, there's more to society than just the military. Why do you keep saying just the military? There's more to society than
I didn't say just the military. I said men in positions of power like to legislate laws and stuff like that. And also, there's more to legislate in laws, but this
So we do have women that are also legislating laws or whatever. There's quite a few women in government.
Doctors and lawyers and all of this come out.
And doctors and lawyers.
Out from what laws is being legislated and the collection of men that's enforcing these laws. So I know it's more to it.
Also, most laws aren't enforced by violence or threat of force. Like that's a backup. It's mostly like, hey, pay a fine.
But what I'm saying is, do I have your argument?
Most people do pay the fine. It usually doesn't escalate to using force.
Right, though. So you're comparing one society where it's basically male dominated. It's really not egalitarian. Then another society, you're saying that it's egalitarian, and I'm saying that, well, it's not truly egalitarian because egalitarian means equal opportunity. So why is it the case that women before they had the right to be in the workforce, before they had the right to vote, they still was in nursing, they still was in secretary jobs, they still did daycares, But we really don't see a big difference right now. Women are still currently choosing to go into the same roles in society as they did in the 1920s.
Okay. There are a lot more women in other roles that are more like doctors and lawyers and stuff than there were before. So that's not necessarily true. But if you want to generalize, then yes, women do tend to choose more nurturing roles. But again, the key word there, he said it himself, choose. If they're choosing to do this, where's the force? Which part is the force? They're choosing it. That's what he said. What? They force you to pay the fine. Yeah, but yeah, again, it's like most of the time it doesn't come down to it because most people do cooperate. It's very rare for people not to.
Remotely true. There are way more women that are lawyers today, that are doctors today,
there's more, but the majority of women.
It still might be the majority,
but you know it's true.
The difference might be a 90-10 split versus a 40-60 split. A society that can utilize its resources better. If a woman is smart enough to be an engineer, let her be an engineer. If you want to arbitrarily lock or restrict.
Thank you. Honestly, like I really do like my job. I think it's fun. I don't want to do it forever. I would prefer to be a housewife or something. But unfortunately, like this is the world we live in, and I really do enjoy what I do. I think even if I didn't do this for a job, I would still be doing it as a hobby, which I think is pretty cool. Most people don't like their jobs, so I'm very lucky that way. But I do appreciate being able to do it, while I would prefer not to, if that makes sense. I know it's a little. It seems like it doesn't really work, but it trust me.
Restrict some people based on their gender to certain types of jobs. I mean, the next question obviously is, well, maybe we should lock it to a certain type of race, or maybe we should lock it to a certain type of IQ. You can arbitrarily restrict societies all day long. On that. You want to point to World War I Germany,
that's not the World War II that's Germany not the logical entailment.
That
I told you what.
But that absolutely is logical for everything.
You're strawmanning my argument, Destiny.
Everything that you brought up earlier. For everything you brought up earlier, if you wanted to say that like the enforcers in society, the inventors in society are men, I could very easily say, well, who invented the gun? It's probably a white man. Who enforces the laws? Probably majority white men, right? Why can't I just go to the racial construct there and say, well, let's exclude every non-white person and build an even better society? And then from there, you can say, what about only tall men? Or what about men who only fit a certain health profile? Like you can
so I'll tell you what you're doing. Yeah. You're conflating race and gender. So
that's the point.
Race and gender, I do these arguments a lot. You can't conflate those two because there's a different capacity. So white males and black males or Asian males in general have the same capacity, right? It'll be the same capacity of force.
Not necessarily. And that's the point, is that he's trying to use this historical, like, oh, well, look over here, women were oppressed and they didn't have rights, therefore men granted them rights or whatever. But if you look at history, there were also times when people didn't have rights unless they were white. So if we're using these historical arguments, that's kind of where I think that's going. So, and this like arbitrary split of like, well, it's not all men that are doing this thing, it's specific men, and there are also some women in there, so the category completely falls apart. Def Trad. He told him, I'll tell you what you're doing.
When you're looking at race, when you're looking at gender, that's a male versus a female. It's not the same capacity of force.
Wow, when you look at gender, that's a male versus a female, y'all. That's not like when you look at race. That is totally different, because gender is when it's male versus female, which is not the same as race. Yeah, so therefore you're wrong, because it's different, because reasons. Because it's different, okay?
Of course. So
at least it's almost over. I can't with this anymore. It's like 2 minutes left. Thank goodness.
My position is very, very, very simple, right?
It's really not. I mean, it's not. There's so many of these caveats, like, oh, well, what if this and what if that? But
argument that you're making is that
it might makes, but it doesn't make right. It's not right. It could be wrong, but it certainly makes, even though in reality we can look around and see that it doesn't necessarily make most of the time anything. And the reality that we live in is nothing like the supposed reality that he's describing. So I don't know. It's not very simple at all.
Well, we need an egalitarian society, and the most egalitarian society, when things are equal opportunity for men and women, they produce the best results. Well, we don't even see that now. We don't see 50-50 women in the military, 50-50.
I don't know if that's relevant. Like, whether egalitarian societies do or don't produce better results is kind of irrelevant to the whole, like, force doctrine argument.
50 women in legislators, 50-50 women doctors, 50-50 women.
That's the whole point. But
yeah, I can still. So look, you're reducing it down to the extreme for where it's just men and then it's women and men. I've reduced it down so where even if it's extremely all equal.
Reduced it down. Always reducing down. Def not crashing out. Oh, I'll show you crashing out.
It wouldn't be better than the society where it's women in roles that appeal to their biological propensities that
all of you like sniz. You like sniz.
Give the nation advantages. And what I said is roles like, one, having babies because we need to keep the population going. Roles like being nurses, being caregivers, things like that. If women are adhering to those type of roles, societies would thrive better than the society where it's 50-50 equal split.
I understand your point. I feel like the history.
So we both made the same argument then.
I don't think so. But listen, I appreciate.
You just made your argument quicker. I made my argument slower because you talk faster.
I appreciate.
But fair enough, Destiny.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yep. Have a good one, brother.
Destiny, I'm a huge fan.
All right, everybody, be careful.
All right.
Fuck me. Okay, I'm gonna talk about this more tomorrow. I have to wake up super early. I love you guys. Be careful. Stay safe.
Okay, that was very sudden. Okay. Well. What do we have there? Alrighty. Oh, that one is cute. I like that one. You tell me to like sniz. Ew, sniz, right? Gross. Who does that? Oh my goodness. I apologize. That was going too far. I was crashing out. That's what you do when you crash out. You gotta tell everybody lick sniz. If you're not telling people to lick sniz, you're not crashing out right, okay? That is how crashing out happens. Okay, well, I think I'm gonna probably try to get some editing done and then go to bed shortly because I do have that appointment early in the morning tomorrow. But I am certainly inspired to work on the Force Doctrine one again because I do have it refilmed. So basically I got to put it together now, which I've been avoiding doing because I was working on these smaller ones. But I think now that I have a few of the smaller ones done, I even have one for next week if I'm not done with it yet. So I have a few going that are, I have one done and a few that are close to done as well. And a few more that I'm working on. And yeah, now that I've gotten sort of back into it with making the regular video content, I've gotten more into working on it. And yeah, so I would like to maybe tackle the longer one after seeing all this Force Doctrine stuff again. Yeah, editing this 92-hour video. It's really, I think, the part where, well, not the part there. When I went and refilmed all of my commentary, I think it's gotten a lot shorter because the first version, it was much more rambly, like kind of how I talk on lives. And I went and I really tightened everything up and made the commentary a lot more concise. So sections that were looking like this and now will probably look something like this. So that, and times that by, I don't know, like 100, that definitely will definitely make it smaller, which will be probably for the best. Madness. Yeah, and also some of the I've also added some clips too. There's a lot of clips that I found here and there where he's basically contradicting himself, which he seems to do a lot. So, all right, well, I also want to do it more like Erica Kirk stuff because I really enjoyed covering that live, but I want to make individual regular videos. Maybe I'm thinking about going through and cutting all the reacts for the Erica Kirk stuff that I've done live and maybe reposting them as a regular video for people who don't watch lives or something. So that's something else I might work on, but unfortunately I had that stupid snowflake thing the whole time, so for most of the videos I can't exactly like do the cropping trick that I've done on the past video to include anything in the regular videos because you'll see the freaking snowflakes over it the whole time. That was before I figured out how to only record specific parts for the recording. So that's unfortunate. I only recently noticed a button here that does exactly what I need to only record specific parts of the Streamlabs stuff. Anyway, Erica Kirk makes you crash out. That is true, but it's certainly, yeah, I mean, I'll leave it there. As that chick is so, I'm so amazed at how much she stands up there and lies with all of that history, like all of that history out there online and open, and she comes out and lies about it to all of our faces, and so many people are still supporting her for whatever reason. Like, she can do no wrong, and then everybody else who's normal can see that there's obviously something very wrong here. And I'm surprised Candace recently brought up that whole, like, psychopath thing, because that was my first instinct, but that's not something that's not something you really accuse people of being, because it's hard to prove, and it's kind of an odd thing that isn't even normally, I doubt it gets diagnosed often, because people usually keep that sort of stuff to themselves and sort of fake emotions and stuff like that. But I definitely got that sort of vibe from her of that kind of thing. I was thinking more sociopath, though, not psychopath, but I think they're very similar and kind of used interchangeably today. Enough people believe it, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, so many people are like, oh no, poor widow, and don't look deeper into it, which is what she's counting on, I suppose, but everything is off about it. And sure, maybe, I don't know. People keep saying, oh, well, it's fine if people act weird when they lose someone. There's no wrong way to grieve. I'm sorry, no, there is a wrong way to grieve. It's that. Whatever she's doing, that is the wrong way to grieve. That's not how grieving works, okay? That's none of what she's doing can be classified as grieving. Snooze bath. Okay. Well, on that note, I got a thing in my eye. Okay, I am going to sign off now. It was fun hanging out with everybody. Do all the liking and subscribing and all of that YouTuber stuff that people do, and send me money if you want to. She got confused. She heard grift, not grieve. I need to take a lesson from her and do more grifting, because this is becoming kind of like a full-time job on some of these. And take care as well. Thanks for hanging out. Good night, everybody. I do like that little emoji. It's cute. Good night. Have a good one as well. I will see you at a later time and date. Goodbye.